They say that every atom in your body was once part of a star, forged in a crucible of impossible heat and light before being scattered across the cosmos. You are, in the most literal sense, born of cosmic abundance, a walking, breathing miracle of universal wealth. If this is your origin, if your very cells hold the memory of exploding suns and infinite space, then answer this one question. From where does this feeling of lack come? Where does this persistent, quiet hum of scarcity originate, this shadow that whispers, you are not enough, that there is not enough, that you must struggle for your small piece of a finite world? This feeling is not your truth. It is not your nature. It is a fever dream, a story told so many times by so many voices that you have mistaken it for reality. It is a hypnotic state, woven from the fears of your ancestors, the anxieties of society, and the desperate cry of an ego that believes it is separate from the whole. This journey we are about to embark upon is not about learning a new set of tricks to gather more worldly things. We are not here to chase after wealth. We are here to do something far more radical, far more powerful. We are here to wake up. This is a journey of unlearning the lies you have been taught about your own worth and about the nature of reality itself. It is a homecoming, a return to the profound, unshakable knowing that you are not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. We will not be adding layers to who you are. We will be peeling them away, dissolving the calcified beliefs of limitation until we reveal the radiant, infinitely abundant core that has been there, patiently waiting all along. So find a quiet space. Allow your body to settle. This is not a lecture to be analyzed by the mind. It is a transmission to be felt by the soul. The path from scarcity to superabundance does not begin with a step, but with a shift. A shift in perception, a shift in consciousness, a quiet turning inward to the place where all true creation begins. The door is now open. Let us walk through it together. Let us begin by examining the space you inhabit, not the room you are sitting in, but the architecture of your own consciousness. For most, this inner space is not a vast, open field of possibility. It is an echo chamber. It has no visible walls, no ceiling, no floor, yet it is the most confining prison ever conceived, because you are both the inmate and the warden, unaware that the door has always been unlocked. An echo chamber is a peculiar environment. It does not create any sound of its own. It only takes what is given and amplifies it, distorts it, and returns it to you as if it were an objective truth. A single, quiet whisper of doubt, once uttered into this space, does not simply fade away. It strikes a wall of your own perception and returns to you louder. It strikes another wall of past experience and returns with more conviction. It careens off the surfaces of your deepest fears and insecurities, gathering momentum, gathering force, until that one tiny, insignificant whisper of a thought like, "I don't think I'll have enough this month," becomes a deafening, terrifying roar that sounds like the voice of God decreeing your eternal failure. This is the nature of the chamber. It is a self-validating system of limitation. Its primary function is to prove your own negative beliefs correct. Consider how it operates, this subtle, insidious mechanism. You wake in the morning, and for a brief, beautiful moment, there is only the silence of being. Then, the first thought arrives. Perhaps it is the memory of an unpaid bill, a fleeting image of a number in your bank account that you wish was higher. It is a small thing, a mere blip on the screen of your awareness, but it has been spoken into the chamber. The first echo returns almost instantly. It is the feeling, the familiar, sinking sensation of anxiety in your gut. The thought was the seed. The feeling is the first sprout. Now, with this faint vibration of lack established as your baseline frequency for the day, you begin to move through your world. But you are no longer just an observer. You have become a hunter. a detective, and the only case you are interested in solving is the one that proves your own poverty. The walls of your echo chamber are made of a selective filter. Your mind, in its desire to create a coherent story, will now actively scan your environment for evidence that matches the original thought. You scroll through your phone, and you don't see the pictures of friends and family. You see the curated, perfect lives of strangers, their lavish holidays and expensive possessions, and the chamber whispers, "See, everyone has more than you." You walk down the street, and you don't notice the intricate beauty of a flower growing through a crack in the pavement, a testament to life's resilient abundance. Instead, your eyes are drawn to the closing down sale of a local shop, and the chamber thunders, "See, the economy is terrible. There is only loss and decay." You speak to a friend who shares good news, a promotion or a new opportunity, and you cannot feel pure joy for them. A part of you feels a sting, a pang of comparison, and the echo reverberates. "See, success is for others. You are being left behind." This is the grim work of the chamber. It makes you the blind curator of your own misery. It hands you a magnifying glass and tells you to study only the cracks, the flaws, and the deficiencies of your life, while a masterpiece of infinite abundance hangs on the wall right behind you, completely ignored. Day after day, this process repeats. Every piece of evidence you gather makes the walls of the chamber thicker, more soundproof to any opposing view. The original thought, "I don't have enough," is no longer a thought. It has gathered so much supporting evidence, so much emotional charge, that it has been promoted. It has become a belief. A belief is nothing more than a thought that has been fed, nurtured, and worshipped, until it feels like an immovable part of who you are. It is a tenant in your mind that has stopped paying rent but now refuses to leave, claiming squatters' rights over your entire reality. This belief now dictates your behavior. You might avoid looking at your bank statements because the belief tells you it will only confirm the worst. You might turn down an invitation to a social event because the belief whispers that you can't afford it or that you don't deserve to have fun. You might not apply for that dream job because the belief, now a booming authority in the chamber, convinces you that you are not qualified, that you will be rejected, that it is safer not to even try. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy in perpetual motion. The belief of lack leads to behaviors of lack, which in turn create results of lack, which then provide even more thunderous proof for the original belief. The echo has become your reality. The process then descends to an even deeper level. When a belief is held for long enough, when it is saturated with the powerful energy of your emotions, it crystallizes. It hardens into a facet of your identity. The chamber is no longer a place you are in, it is a place that is in you. The thought, "I don't have enough," has now completed its sinister evolution into the statement, "I am poor," or "I am someone who struggles," or "I am just not good with money." Do you see the profound and tragic difference? "I don't have enough" is a description of a temporary state. "I am poor" is a declaration of being. You have taken the story of scarcity and mistaken it for the storyteller. You have taken the passing weather and mistaken it for the eternal sky. This is the ultimate enslavement of the echo chamber. It convinces you that its suffocating walls are your own skin, and it will defend itself to the death. When a genuine opportunity for abundance does manage to pierce the walls, brilliant idea that comes to you in the shower, a person who sees your worth and offers you a chance, a moment of grace that presents a new path, chamber's defense system activates immediately. The echoes of past failures, the voices of childhood critics, the collective fear of the unknown, they all rise up in a violent cacophony designed to frighten you back into the familiar misery of the known. "Don't get your hopes up," they scream. "Remember what happened last time. It's too good to be true. You will only be disappointed." And so you retreat. You let the opportunity pass, breathing a strange sigh of relief as you settle back into the grey comfort of your prison, a prisoner who has just been offered the key and has willingly handed it back to the jailer. So what is to be done? How does one dismantle a prison that has no bars, a chamber whose walls are made of your own thoughts? You do not fight it. You do not shout back at the echoes, for that only creates more noise. You do not try to hammer down the walls, for they are not solid. The first step on the path to freedom, the first act of radical rebellion against this tyranny of lack, is to do something exquisitely simple. You just notice. You become still, and you listen, but you do not listen to the content of the echoes. You listen for the silence between them. You become aware of the chamber itself. In this moment of pure awareness, a miracle occurs. For the first time, you create a separation. There is the noise, and then there is you, the one who is hearing the noise. There is the thought, and there is you, the silent, unmoving presence observing the thought. In that tiny sliver of separation, the entire illusion begins to collapse. You realize that you are not the echo, you are not the fear, you are not the story of lack. You are the space in which the story is being told. You are the silence that was there before the first whisper, and will be there long after the final echo has faded. This is the great awakening. Not an explosion, but a quiet recognition. You have not destroyed the chamber, not yet, but you have found the door. You have realized that the sound that filled your world was not the world itself, but merely a reflection, an echo of a belief you are now free to question, and ultimately, to change. We have identified the echo. We now see the prison. The next step is to understand who built it. We have felt the chilling resonance of the echo chamber. We have become aware of the repeating story of lack that reverberates through our consciousness. Now, we must ask the fundamental question of the architect. Who built these walls? Who drew the blueprints for this prison of perception? The startling and liberating answer is this: you did not. You are living in a house you did not design. You are navigating the corridors of a belief system that was constructed for you long before you had the capacity to choose your own thoughts. You inherited this architecture of scarcity. It was your first home, your primary education, the very air you breathed, and you became so accustomed to its cramped dimensions and low ceilings that you never thought to question if you could live anywhere else. This inheritance is not your fault, but it has become your responsibility. And the first step toward claiming your freedom is to walk through this house, not as a resident, but as a surveyor, turning on the lights in every dark room and examining the blueprints with conscious, compassionate awareness. The foundation of this structure was laid in the fertile, impressionable soil of your childhood. Your first architects were your parents, your guardians, the giants who shaped your world. They did not do this with malice. They too were living in the house they had inherited from their parents. They passed down the only blueprints they knew. This education in lack came in two forms: the spoken and the far more potent unspoken. The spoken curriculum was the litany of phrases and warnings about money, repeated so often they became indistinguishable from truth. Money doesn't grow on trees. A simple phrase, yet it plants a seed of belief that resources are unnatural, difficult to cultivate, separate from the effortless abundance of nature. We can't afford that. 3 words that draw a hard line in the sand of reality, teaching you that your desires are on one side and the world of possibility is on the other, forever separate. You have to work hard for every penny. This becomes the central pillar of the entire structure, the gospel of struggle, equating value not with inspiration, joy, or genius, but with grueling, soul-crushing effort. Rich people are greedy. Money is the root of all evil. These were the moral alarms, installed to create a deep internal conflict, forcing you to choose between being a good person and being a wealthy person, as if the two were mutually exclusive. These phrases were the bricks. They were laid one by one, day by day, forming the load-bearing walls of your financial reality. But it was the unspoken curriculum that provided the mortar, the emotional cement that holds the entire grim edifice together. A child does not learn about the world primarily through words. A child learns through energetic osmosis. They are a finely tuned resonant instrument, and they learned about abundance not from what your parents said, but from what they felt. They felt the stiffening in your father's shoulders as he opened the mail. They felt the knot of anxiety in your mother's stomach when a tire went flat. They absorbed the suffocating tension during hushed, late-night arguments about bills, arguments that felt to a child like the world was ending. This ambient field of worry was their primary nourishment. They learned that money was not a tool for joy and freedom, but a source of conflict, a catalyst for fear, a reason for the two people they loved most in the world to be in pain. They learned to associate money with danger. And so, on a deep, subconscious level, they made a vow to protect themselves and to protect the family unit by never having too much of this dangerous substance. For some, this unspoken contract went even deeper, becoming an unspoken vow of generational loyalty. Perhaps your family identity was built on the pride of being hardworking, honest, blue-collar people. We're not fancy, we're not rich, but we're good people. In this context, to desire and achieve significant wealth would feel like a profound betrayal. It would mean leaving the tribe, abandoning your heritage, becoming one of them, the other people, the rich people who were viewed with suspicion or resentment. To remain in a state of financial struggle was, in a twisted way, an act of love, an act of belonging. Upon this familial foundation, the walls were then erected and reinforced by the wider culture. Society itself is a master architect of scarcity. The news media, with its relentless focus on economic downturns, market crashes, and job losses, creates a constant, low-grade hum of collective anxiety. It paints a picture of a world that is perpetually on the brink of collapse, a world of limited resources where you must fight for your share. The entertainment industry furnishes the house with compelling narratives. It often portrays the wealthy as morally corrupt, lonely, or villainous, while glorifying the noble poor. This creates a powerful subconscious link. To be wealthy is to be unhappy and unethical. To be struggling is to be virtuous and relatable. The educational system, designed to create compliant workers for an industrial age, teaches you to trade your precious, finite time for a predetermined wage. It conditions you to think inside a box, to follow a set path, get good grades, to get a good, safe job, to work for 40 years, and then retire on a fraction of your income. The entire model is predicated on security, which is the polite word for fear. It is not a model designed for sovereignty, for creation, for freedom. Even our spiritual and religious institutions have sometimes contributed to this architecture, teaching that desire is sinful and poverty is a state of holiness. A phrase like, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God," when misinterpreted, becomes a spiritual justification for lack, a divine mandate to reject worldly abundance in favor of a heavenly reward. It is not a condemnation of wealth itself, but of a consciousness so cluttered with attachment to things that it cannot perceive the subtle reality of spirit. Yet, it became another brick in the wall, creating a profound guilt around the natural human impulse to expand and create. Finally, the house is furnished with your own personal experiences, the specific life events that seem to validate the entire grim design. Perhaps it was a business that failed, a significant investment that was lost, or a time of genuine hardship that left an energetic scar. These experiences are like heavy, dark furniture placed in the main corridors of the house. You keep bumping into them in the dark. Each collision Each memory of pain reinforces the core belief. It is not safe to want more. Trying leads to failure. Ambition leads to pain. You learn to walk carefully, to make yourself small, to not risk rearranging the furniture for fear of getting hurt again. And so you live, a sovereign being with infinite potential, inside a cramped, dark, inherited house you never chose. A house built from the fears of your parents, the anxieties of your culture, and the scars of your own past. So now, the lights are on. We have walked the rooms. We have examined the blueprints. What is the feeling that arises? For many, it is anger, resentment, blame. Blame for the parents who taught us this, for the society that reinforced it. This is a natural stage, but we cannot remain there, for blame is just another room in the same house. The true path forward begins with compassion. Your parents did the best they could with the blueprints they were given. Society is simply a collection of other individuals, all living in their own inherited houses. Blaming them is like a prisoner blaming the bricks for his confinement. The ultimate act of power is not to rage against the architecture, but to calmly and deliberately decide to draw your own blueprints. You see the foundation that was laid by your ancestors, a foundation built on a desire for your survival, and you can honor that love. You can honor their struggle without accepting their limitations. You can choose to build something new on that same ground, a structure with high ceilings, vast windows, and 1,000 open doors. A structure designed not just for survival, but for joyous, magnificent, expansive life. The recognition that the design is not yours is the moment you cease to be a mere resident and become the new architect. You take the pen into your own hand, but as you do, you will find there is a guardian, a gatekeeper who is deeply invested in maintaining the old structure, because it is the only world it has ever known. This guardian is the ego, and it will not let you redesign its reality without a fight. We stand now with the blueprints of our inherited prison in hand. We see the flawed design, we understand the origins of its construction, and a powerful, liberating question arises within us. Why do we not simply walk out? We see the door, we know it is unlocked, yet we hesitate on the threshold. What is this force that pulls us back into the familiar shadows? What is this voice that whispers that the known misery is safer than the unknown freedom? We must now meet the guardian of this prison, the self-appointed warden who is terrified of you leaving. This guardian is the ego. It is not an entity. It is not an enemy to be vanquished. You must understand this clearly. The ego is a mechanism, a mental emotional construct whose prime directive is not your happiness, not your freedom, not your expansion, but your survival. It is the story of me, a collection of memories, experiences, labels, and beliefs that have been bundled together and given your name. And a story, in order to exist, requires one essential element: conflict, a plot, a problem to be solved. The ego, the storyteller of your life, is fundamentally addicted to problems. A life of serene presence, of effortless flow, of simple non-dramatic being is a terrifying prospect for the ego. It is a story with no plot. It is a stage with no drama. In such a reality, the character of me has no lines to say, no heroic struggles to overcome, no villains to fight. In the silent peace of pure being, the ego begins to dissolve, and to the ego, dissolution is death. Therefore, it has become a master at creating, perpetuating, and identifying with problems, simply to ensure its own survival. Of all the problems it could choose from, its absolute favorite, its drug of choice, is the problem of lack. Scarcity is the perfect fuel for the ego's fire. Why? Because the problem can never truly be solved. If you have $1,000, the ego will insist you need 10,000 to be secure. If you attain 10,000, it will immediately create the anxiety that you need 100,000. If you become a millionaire, it will invent the new, even more stressful problem of losing the millions. It will generate endless worry about investments, taxes, and the economy. The problem of not enough is a perpetual motion machine of misery, and the ego can ride it for an entire lifetime. More importantly, this problem provides the ego with its most prized possession, a strong identity. The ego would rather be a tragic hero than a nobody. The identity of "I am a struggler" is a powerful one. It comes with a whole narrative of resilience, of being a survivor, of battling against the odds. There is a strange, perverse comfort in this story. It makes you special. It gives you something to talk about, to complain about, to bond with others over. The shared complaint about prices, taxes, and the cost of living is the unofficial anthem of the collective ego. To let go of this struggle would mean letting go of this identity. Who would you be without your financial worries? Who would you be if you were no longer the survivor? This question terrifies the ego. It would rather cling to the familiar, painful identity of a victim of circumstance than leap into the vast, identityless freedom of being an embodiment of abundance. The story of scarcity also serves another crucial function for the ego. It justifies the past and endlessly postpones the present. Every past failure can be neatly explained away. I couldn't succeed because I didn't have the right resources. My dreams never materialized because I was always held back by a lack of funds. It creates a blameless narrative. Simultaneously, it pushes all possibility of peace and happiness into a perpetually out-of-reach future. I will finally relax when I pay off the house. I will be happy when I have a certain amount saved. I will start living my real life once I am financially secure. This is the ego's greatest trick. It ensures you never, ever arrive in the only place where true abundance can be found, the present moment. It keeps you forever striving, forever chasing, a ghost haunted by the past and mesmerized by a future that will never come. To truly grasp the ego's resistance, you must try to see the world from its point of view. Imagine a king who rules over a desolate grey wasteland. This is his kingdom. He knows every crack in the dry earth, every crumbling ruin, every miserable inhabitant. It is a kingdom of problems, but it is his. He is the king. His identity is the king of the wasteland. One day, an emissary arrives from the land beyond the hills and says, "My lord, we invite you to a new land. It is a valley of lush green, of flowing rivers, of endless bounty. There is no struggle there. There is no hierarchy, no kings, no subjects. All beings live in harmony and share in the effortless abundance of the valley." How would the king hear this? He would not hear an invitation to paradise. He would hear an invitation to his own annihilation. In a land with no problems, there is no need for a problem solver. In a land with no subjects, there is no place for a king. He would see this paradise as the ultimate threat to his very existence. He would defend his miserable patch of dirt with all his might, because he is addicted to his throne. Your ego is this king, and your state of abundance is that valley. It looks at a life of ease, flow, and trust not as a goal, but as a terrifying void. And so, it employs a vast arsenal of tactics to keep you chained to your throne of lack. Its primary weapon is comparison. It will force you to look at your neighbor's new car, your friend's exotic vacation, your colleague's promotion, and it will inject the poison of envy and inadequacy directly into your veins. Comparison is the act of measuring your inner state against an external illusion, and it is a guaranteed path to suffering. Its next weapon is worry. The ego is a master storyteller of horror. It will project an endless stream of negative what-if scenarios into the screen of your mind. What if you lose your job? What if you get sick and can't work? What if the economy collapses? It bombards you with future phantoms to ensure you can never feel the solid ground of safety beneath your feet right now. And it wields judgment like a shield. It will find reasons to condemn those who have achieved financial success, labeling them as greedy, unethical, or simply lucky in order to validate your own position. This judgment creates a sense of moral superiority that masks the deep-seated fear that you are simply not capable of achieving the same. It is easier for the ego to tear others down than to build itself up. So how do you dethrone a king who does not want to leave, a guardian who is addicted to the very prison he is meant to be guarding? You do not stage a violent coup. You do not declare war. To fight the ego is to play its favorite game. It loves conflict. It feeds on your resistance. The moment you argue with a negative thought, you have given it reality. The moment you struggle against a feeling of anxiety, you have amplified its power. The path to freedom is not through battle, but through a radical act of non-resistance. It is the path of observation. You simply watch the king on his throne. You watch him rant and rave. You watch him polish his rusty crown of problems. You notice the thoughts of comparison as they arise, and you say, internally, "Ah, that is the ego, comparing." You notice the wave of worry about the future, and you say, "There it is, the ego, telling ghost stories again." You notice the impulse to judge someone's success, and you say, "I see you, ego, trying to make me feel better by making someone else wrong." In this act of seeing, you are no longer the king. You have become the vast, silent space of the throne room itself. You have disidentified. You are the awareness that is watching the mechanism. The ego is a phantom that thrives in the darkness of your unconsciousness. It cannot survive the light of your presence. It doesn't die a dramatic death. It simply, quietly, begins to dissolve, like a shadow when the sun comes out, starved of the one thing it needs to live, your belief in it. To fully dissolve its grip, to gently escort this misguided guardian from his post, we must cut off his food supply. We must stop feeding the addiction. We must shift our entire energetic investment away from the problem of lack and place it, all of it, into the only asset that is truly real. We must learn the currency of consciousness itself. We have stood before the guardian of our old reality, the ego, and we have learned that its power comes from the attention we feed it. This reveals a profound truth, a key that unlocks every subsequent door on this journey. We must now fundamentally redefine our understanding of wealth, of capital, of currency itself. You have been taught to believe that money is your most valuable asset. You have been conditioned to chase it, to hoard it, to worry about it, to organize your entire life around its acquisition. This is a central tenet of the scarcity architecture, but it is an illusion. Dollars, pounds, euros. These are merely symbols. They are placeholders, units of agreement, streams of energy that in themselves are utterly neutral. Their perceived power is a projection. The true currency, the primal capital from which all other forms of wealth are derived, is your consciousness. It is your attention. Your focused awareness is the most precious and potent commodity in the universe. Where you choose to invest your attention, there you invest your life force. That is the only transaction that truly matters, for it is this investment that determines the reality you will experience. Think of it this way. A masterpiece painting, hidden in a lightless vault, has no beauty. A bar of pure gold, lost in the blackness of deep space, has no value. An undiscovered diamond, buried under a mile of earth, has no brilliance. These things only acquire their perceived value when a conscious being directs the beam of their attention upon them. It is attention that illuminates beauty. It is attention that assigns value. It is attention that recognizes brilliance. Your focused awareness is the genesis point of all perceived reality. It is the raw energy of creation itself, compressed into the form of your individual life. And you, at every single moment of every single day, are an investor. You are the chief executive of a vast portfolio, and your only real capital is the sum total of your conscious moments. So, let us conduct an audit. Let us, without judgment, examine where this ultimate currency is currently being allocated. For most, a staggering amount of their daily attention is invested in a portfolio of lack. You wake up and immediately invest your first conscious moments into the account of worry, running through the list of bills to be paid, the tasks to be completed, the problems to be solved. You are pouring your divine capital into a black hole that offers only one return: more anxiety. You drive to work and invest your attention in resentment, focusing on the traffic, on the job you dislike, on the boss who doesn't appreciate you. You are funding the reality of frustration. You come home and invest your awareness in the news, a constant feed of fear, conflict, and disaster from around the world. You are consciously choosing to subsidize the global frequency of dread. You talk with friends and invest your precious currency in gossip and complaint, focusing on what is wrong with the world, with others, with yourselves. This is not a harmless pastime. This is an act of creation. You are actively using the most powerful force in the universe to build, brick by brick, a world defined by what is broken. Then there is the portfolio of distraction. How much of your currency is simply squandered, spent on ventures with zero return? How many hours are poured into the endless scroll of social media, a space engineered to fracture your attention and make you feel inadequate? How much energy is spent on other people's dramas, on shallow entertainment, on the mental static of a mind that is never allowed to be still? This is the energetic equivalent of taking your life savings, your precious capital, and throwing it into a bonfire simply to watch it burn. It provides a fleeting moment of warmth, a brief distraction from the cold, but it leaves you poorer than before. Your attention has been fractured, your energy has been drained, and your power to create has been diluted. You have sold your birthright for a handful of fleeting, meaningless sensations. But there is a third portfolio, one that most of us have left tragically underfunded. This is the portfolio of abundance. Imagine what would happen if you began to consciously and deliberately divest from the black holes of worry and distraction and started transferring that capital into this high-yield account. What does it mean to invest your attention here? It means placing your focus, your entire conscious energy, on what you want to see grow in your life. It means allowing your awareness to rest on the feeling of gratitude for the breath in your lungs. It means holding a creative idea in your mind, not with doubt, but with the loving attention a gardener gives to a prized seedling. It means feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin and investing in the simple sensation of physical well-being. It means focusing on a solution instead of the problem. It means allowing your mind to bathe in the feeling of your wish already fulfilled, not as a mental trick, but as a deliberate and powerful act of energetic investment. This is not just positive thinking, it is the fundamental physics of creation. Your consciousness is not a passive receptor of information, it is an active, formative, structuring force. Picture your awareness as a single, powerful spotlight in a vast, dark warehouse. This warehouse contains everything, infinite possibilities. It contains joy and sorrow, wealth and poverty, sickness and health, love and fear. They all exist as dormant potentials in the darkness. Whatever you shine your spotlight upon is what you pull out of the quantum soup of possibility and into the tangible experience of your life. The rest remains latent, waiting in the shadows. If you keep your spotlight fixed on the empty shelf labeled "not enough money," then the empty shelf is all you will ever perceive as real. You are literally holding it in place with the beam of your attention. The moment you pivot that spotlight, the moment you consciously redirect it to the shelf labeled creative ideas, or existing blessings, or the feeling of relief, you begin to illuminate a different reality. You call it forth from the darkness, Your attention is the organizing principle of the universe as it pertains to you. It takes the chaotic energy of potentiality and commands it to collapse into a specific, ordered experience. Therefore, the only spiritual practice you will ever need is to become a conscious investor of your attention. This begins with a simple, moment-to-moment audit. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself, where is my spotlight right now? What am I funding with my life force? When you notice it is fixed on a thought of worry or a feeling of lack, you do not wrestle with it. You do not fight the darkness. That is a waste of energy. You simply, gently, and without judgment, pivot the light. You sell that stock in lack, and you reinvest your attention elsewhere, anywhere that feels even 1% better. You notice the beauty of a cloud formation. You savor the taste of a sip of water. You listen to a piece of music that lifts your spirit. You remember a time you felt successful and loved. Each pivot is a transaction. Each conscious redirection of your attention is a deposit into your abundance account. This is not denial. It is a profoundly radical act of fiscal responsibility on a cosmic scale. You are refusing to fund a reality you do not wish to inhabit. And this investment, like any wise investment, begins to yield compounding interest. When you consistently invest your attention in gratitude, you will start to notice more and more things to be grateful for. The universe, seeing where you are placing your capital, will deliver more assets of a similar nature. When you invest your attention in your own creative ideas, you will find that resources, synchronicities, and helpful people begin to appear as if from nowhere. They are not coming from nowhere. They were always there, waiting in the darkness of the warehouse. Your sustained attention was the light that made them visible and drew them to you. This is the great secret. Manifestation is not about magical thinking. It is about the disciplined finance of consciousness. You are simply reallocating your divine capital from non-performing, depreciating assets like fear and worry, and moving them into high growth, appreciating assets like love, creativity, and joy. Reality, which is bound by impeccable law, has no choice but to deliver the corresponding returns. And the most powerful high-yield investment you can possibly make, the one that guarantees the fastest and most magnificent returns, is the conscious cultivation of a state of being we call gratitude. It is the alchemical agent that turns the lead of your current reality into the gold of superabundance. We have established that your consciousness is the ultimate currency, the primal capital with which you fund your reality. Now, we arrive at the most potent, most practical, and most profoundly misunderstood method of investing that currency. We arrive at the practice of gratitude, but we must immediately cast aside the conventional, superficial understanding of this word. The gratitude we will explore here is not the polite, reactive thank you that you offer after receiving a gift. That is gratitude as a social courtesy, an afterthought. It is conditional, dependent on an external event, having already occurred to your satisfaction. That is the gratitude of the ego. The gratitude that we will now cultivate is something else entirely. It is a force of nature. It is an active, creative, generative state of being. It is not a response to receiving what you want. It is the fundamental cause of receiving what you want. This is alchemical gratitude. It is the secret fire that transforms the lead of your current circumstances into the pure gold of superabundance. Alchemy, in the mystical tradition, was never truly about turning physical lead into physical gold. That was a metaphor for a much deeper process, the transformation of the human soul. It was about transmuting the dense, heavy, leaden consciousness of fear, ignorance, and limitation into the radiant, golden consciousness of enlightenment, freedom, and love. Gratitude is this alchemical process in action. It is the universal solvent that dissolves the illusion of scarcity. To understand how it works, you must grasp a fundamental law of the universe. This world does not respond to your words or your wishes. It responds to your frequency, your vibration, your state of being. The universe is a mirror. It does not give you what you want. It reflects back to you what you are. Complaining is the frequency of lack. Worry is the frequency of lack. Resentment is the frequency of lack. When you broadcast these signals, the universe, in its perfect, impersonal fidelity, must reflect back to you circumstances that match that frequency, giving you more things to complain and worry about. Gratitude, however, is the frequency of abundance. It is the energetic signature of receiving. It is the feeling of I already have. It is a state of fullness, of completion, of being provided for. When you consciously generate and inhabit this frequency, the universal mirror has no choice but to reflect circumstances, opportunities, and resources that perfectly match your state of being. So how do we perform this great work? How do we practice this alchemy? We begin with the prima materia, the raw material. In alchemy, this was the base substance to be transformed. For us, the raw material is your life, exactly as it is in this moment. Not the life you wish you had. Not the life you will have when you get more money. Your life, right now. The unpaid bills on your desk. The number in your bank account that causes you anxiety. The cramped apartment. The car that makes a funny noise. This is your lead. The scarcity mindset looks at this raw material and sees only problems, only lack, only evidence of failure. But the alchemist sees only potential. The next ingredient is the philosophical fire. This is your conscious, focused attention, the ultimate currency we have just discussed. The alchemical process begins when you deliberately withdraw your fire, your attention, from what is missing in your circumstances and place it with intention upon what is present. Let us make this intensely practical. Bring to mind a bill that causes you stress. Feel the familiar contraction in your body, the tightening in your chest, the anxious thoughts. This is the leaden state. Now, as the alchemist, you apply the fire of your conscious attention. You look at the bill not as a demand or a threat, but as evidence of a service already rendered. This is a bill for the electricity that powered the light you read by, that charged the device you are listening to this on, that kept you warm. You shift your focus from the pain of the payment to the reality of the service, and you find within you a flicker of genuine appreciation. You say, internally, thank you for the light, thank you for the warmth, thank you for the power that makes my life easier. You have just performed an act of alchemy. You have taken the same set of facts, a piece of paper, demanding money, and by shifting your perception, you have transmuted the dense energy of fear into the high-frequency energy of appreciation. Let us try another. Consider your home. Perhaps you wish it were bigger, in a better neighborhood, more beautiful. The ego will focus on the cracks in the wall, the smallness of the rooms, the noise from the neighbors. This is lead. Now, apply the fire. Feel the solid floor beneath you. Acknowledge the roof above you that protects you from the rain and the cold. Recognize this space as a sanctuary, a place of safety and shelter in a vast and sometimes chaotic world. Feel gratitude for this shelter. Thank you for this roof. Thank you for this bed. Thank you for this sanctuary. You have not changed the physical location, but you have fundamentally transformed your energetic relationship to it. You have turned a prison of what you don't have into a palace of what you do have. The ego will immediately rebel against this practice. It will scream, "This is a lie. I am not grateful for my debt. I am not grateful for being broke. I will be grateful when I have $1 million. This is the greatest deception of the scarcity mindset. It is the belief that the inner state must follow the outer condition. It is a farmer standing in an empty field, arms crossed, saying, "I will plant the seeds when I see the harvest." It is a laughable defiance of universal law. The harvest does not precede the seed. The external reality does not precede the internal state. Your state of being is the seed. The external reality is the harvest. To wait for the world to give you what you want before you are willing to feel the feeling of having it is to guarantee you will wait forever. You must be the one to go first. You must be brave enough to generate the feeling of abundance from within, using the humble materials of your present moment. This is the essence of creative power. Let us embody this now. Close your eyes if it feels right. Bring your awareness into your body. I want you to call to mind your current financial situation. Do not shy away from it. Allow the feelings that arise, the fear, the constriction, the worry to be present for a moment. Just observe them. This is the lead. Now, within this entire picture, I want you to find one thing. Just one single solitary thing for which you can feel a flicker of genuine gratitude. Perhaps it is the meal you last ate. Forget about the next meal. Just focus on the last one. Remember the nourishment, the taste. Feel the gratitude for the complex chain of events that brought that food to you. And just feel, thank you for that nourishment. Now, take that small flicker of feeling, that tiny ember of warmth in your chest, and breathe into it. Use your attention not to analyze it, but to expand it. Imagine that warmth growing, spreading from your heart through your torso, down into your legs, up into your arms, your head. Allow this feeling of being provided for, in just this one small way, to become your entire reality for this moment. Marinate in it. Feel the physical shift in your body as the tension of lack is replaced by the relaxation of fullness. You have just planted a powerful seed. You have just made a deposit of the highest yield currency in the universe into your account. You have just proven to yourself that you have the power to change your state, regardless of your circumstances. This is your alchemical furnace. You can return to it at any time. The more you fire it, the more proficient you become, until the transmutation of fear into gratitude becomes your natural way of being. This practice is not just a mental trick. It is a literal act of recalibration. You are actively tuning the instrument of your body and mind. You are changing the signal you broadcast to the universe. And when you change your signal, the station you receive must, by law, change with it. Through the alchemy of gratitude, you have begun to generate the feeling of abundance, the internal state of having already received. This is the crucial first step. Now, we must understand the profound physics behind why this works. We must move beyond seeing the world as a solid, material place and begin to perceive it as it truly is, a vast, intelligent, vibrating field of energy. Everything you see, everything you touch, and everything you are is energy, vibrating at different speeds. A stone is energy vibrating so slowly that it appears solid. Light is energy vibrating so quickly that it appears ethereal. You yourself are not a single solid entity. You are a symphony of vibrations. Your body is a dense, physical instrument. But your thoughts, and, most importantly, your emotions are finer, more potent frequencies that you are broadcasting out into the universal field at every moment. This broadcast is your vibrational signal, and the single most important law of this energetic universe is the law of resonance. It states, simply, that like attracts like. A frequency can only attract, perceive, and coexist with frequencies that are in harmony with it. This is not a New Age concept. It is a principle of physics. A tuning fork vibrating at the note of C will cause another C tuning fork across the room to begin vibrating, but it will leave an F-sharp tuning fork untouched. They are not in resonance. In the same way, the universe is not a sentient God who judges your worthiness and decides whether or to grant your wishes. It is an impartial field of resonance that simply mirrors your own broadcast. It does not give you what you want, or what you ask for, or what you deserve. It gives you what you are. It returns to you a perfect reflection of the signal you are sending out. Therefore, the entire art of living a life of superabundance is not about learning to ask better, or work harder, or be more worthy. It is, quite simply, about learning to consciously manage and deliberately tune your own vibrational signal. Let us map this out, not with scientific jargon, but with the language of felt experience. For your emotions are your built-in vibrational guidance system. At the lowest end of the vibrational scale, we find the dense, heavy frequencies. These are the emotions of despair, fear, grief, depression, and powerlessness. When you are in these states, your energy is slow, chaotic, and contracted. It is the vibrational equivalent of static on a radio. When you broadcast this signal of deep lack, you are in resonance only with experiences of a similar frequency. You will attract more reasons to feel powerless. You will encounter obstacles, breakdowns, arguments, and loss. You are tuned to the station of struggle, and so that is the only music you can possibly hear. Climbing slightly higher on the scale, we find the frequencies of anger, blame, resentment, and jealousy. These vibrations have more energy than despair, but it is a discordant, grating energy. It is the signal of, "It's not fair," and "They have what should be mine." Broadcasting this frequency puts you in resonance with conflict, with injustice, with experiences that will give you more people and situations to blame and resent. Then we come to the great middle ground, where most of humanity resides. Here we find the frequencies of worry, doubt, and disappointment. These are the constant companions of the ego's scarcity mindset. Higher still, we find hope and belief. Now, these feel much better, and they are pointing in the right direction, but they contain a subtle trap. Hope, by its very nature, vibrates at the frequency of, "I don't have it yet, but I wish I did." It affirms the absence of your desire in the present moment. Strong, unwavering belief is more powerful, but the moment it is tinged with the need to see it to believe it, it falls back into the frequency of doubt. This entire middle range is the frequency of chasing. You are always running towards your desire. But because your signal is one of not yet here, your desire must, by law, always remain just ahead of you, forever on the horizon. It is only when we ascend to the highest frequencies that we leave the state of chasing and enter the state of attracting. These are the fast, light, coherent, and expansive vibrations. This is the frequency of passion, of enthusiasm, of joy, of empowerment, and above all, it is the frequency of love and gratitude. Gratitude, as we have explored, is the master frequency of abundance because its signal is not "I want it" or "I hope to have it." Its signal is a clear, powerful, unambiguous broadcast of "I already have it." When you are feeling genuine appreciation, you are vibrating in perfect harmony with the state of fulfillment. You are a C-tuning fork, vibrating at the frequency of receiving, and all the C-tuned circumstances, people, and resources in the universal field must, by law, begin to resonate with you. They must begin to move towards you. This is not magic, it is physics. Imagine the universe is a radio tower, broadcasting an infinite number of stations simultaneously. The station for abject poverty is playing right now, with its music of despair and fear. The station for middle-class struggle is playing, with its songs of worry and hope. The station for magnificent, joyful, creative, and effortless superabundance is also playing, right now, with its symphony of love, joy, and gratitude. All the stations are being broadcast. All are available to you. Your emotional state is the tuner on your personal radio. If your dial is set to the frequency of worry, you can pray, beg, and plead all you want, but you cannot hear the symphony of abundance. You will only hear the static of your own broadcast. You would not get angry at a radio for playing the station it is tuned to. You would simply calmly, and without judgment, turn the dial. This is the only work you are ever required to do. Your job is not to build a new radio tower. Your job is not to hunt through the airwaves. Your job is to sit with your own receiver and lovingly, patiently, tune your own frequency until the music you wish to hear begins to flow. This tuning is not just a mental process, it is a physical one. Your body is the resonant cavity of your broadcast. It is the instrument itself. Think about how a low-frequency emotion manifests in your body. Fear creates shallow breathing, a tight chest, a knot in your stomach. Your entire physical being is contracted, hardened, resonating with the frequency of lack. Now consider the physical feeling of joy or profound gratitude. Your chest feels open, your shoulders relax, your breath is deep and easy. You feel a sense of warmth and expansion. This is your body physically resonating with abundance. Therefore, to change your station, you must learn to change your physical state of being. It is about consciously cultivating this feeling of openness and expansion. So how do we deliberately turn the dial? How do we consciously change our station from worry to wealth? It is not done through force or suppression. Trying to fight off a bad feeling is an act of resistance. And resistance itself is a very low frequency that only serves to lock the unwanted station in place. The process is one of gentle, conscious introduction. First, you acknowledge where you are. Okay, I am feeling fear. My dial is currently tuned to the static of lack. I accept this without judgment. This acceptance immediately softens the resistance. Then, you deliberately introduce a higher frequency, a tuning fork to help your own energy find a new resonance. This is where the practice of gratitude becomes your primary tool. You reach for one thought of appreciation and hold it in your mind until you can feel it in your body. You are offering your system a new note to tune to. Other tuning forks can be just as powerful. Listen to a piece of music that you know, without fail, makes you feel uplifted and expansive. Go into nature and place your attention on its effortless, non-resistant perfection. Move your body, dance, run, stretch to break up the stagnant, low-frequency energy patterns held within your muscles. Spend 5 minutes deliberately imagining, with all your senses, a scene that represents your desired reality, and feel the joy of it as if it were happening now. Each of these actions is a conscious act of tuning. You are not waiting for your feelings to change. You are actively, lovingly choosing a new frequency. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to hold the new station. Your default vibrational set point begins to rise. You are literally rewiring your being to resonate with a new reality. This is the most leveraged, most powerful action you can possibly take to change your life. But to make this new frequency your permanent, automatic, default state, we must go one level deeper. We must go beyond managing our moods and our focus in the moment. We must access and transform the very source code that generates these frequencies on autopilot. We must learn to rewrite our fundamental beliefs about reality itself. We have tuned our inner instrument to the frequency of abundance through the power of gratitude and conscious emotional management. We are learning to broadcast a new signal, yet, for many, this feels like a constant effort, an upstream swim against a powerful current. The moment we stop consciously focusing, we feel ourselves pulled back into the old, familiar frequencies of worry and lack. Why is this? It is because our conscious efforts are a thin layer operating on top of a vast, powerful, and largely invisible system of programming. This system is the collection of your core beliefs. To create permanent, effortless change, we must move beyond simply managing our mood. We must become programmers. We must be willing to access the source code of our reality and rewrite the fundamental commands that are running our lives on autopilot. Imagine your mind is the most advanced biocomputer in the existence. Your conscious mind, the part that is listening to these words, is the user at the keyboard. It can type commands, open files, and make decisions. But the vast majority of the system's operations, your heartbeat, your breathing, your automatic emotional reactions, your perception of the world are run by the subconscious operating system. This operating system is composed entirely of your beliefs. Beliefs like, life is hard, I'm not good enough, there's never enough money, are not just passive ideas, they are active programs. They are lines of code like scarcity, .exe, or unworthiness, DLA, that are running constantly in the background, filtering your perception and dictating your responses. You can sit at the keyboard and consciously type, I want to be wealthy all day long, but if the underlying operating system is running the scarcity.exe program, it will always override your command. It will find ways to sabotage your efforts, create errors, and ensure the system's output remains consistent with its core programming. To change your life, you must change the code. First, we must demystify what a belief truly is. A belief is not a sacred truth carved in stone. It is not an immutable law of the universe. A belief, in its simplest form, is just a thought that you have thought over and over and over again. It is a neural pathway in your brain that has been so heavily trafficked that it has become a superhighway. It is an assumption about the way reality works that you made so long ago, you have completely forgotten it is merely an assumption. A belief has no power of its own. Let this sink in. It is a phantom. All the power it has is the power that you, and you alone, grant it through your unwavering conviction. It is a king with no clothes, ruling only because no one has dared to point out that he is naked. The process of rewriting your code begins with this courageous act of pointing, of identifying and questioning the invisible tyrants that have been running your system. How do you access this source code? You don't need a special key. You simply need to learn to observe the system's output. Your spoken words are a direct printout from your subconscious programs. When you catch yourself saying, "Oh, I could never afford that," or "That's just my luck," or "You have to work to the bone to get anywhere in this world," recognize that you are not just describing reality, you are actively declaring and reinforcing the code that creates it. Become a detective of your own language. Your words will lead you directly to your beliefs. An even more powerful method is to trace your emotions. The next time you feel a strong pang of anxiety about money or a wave of jealousy towards someone's success, do not just suffer the feeling. Pause. Become the programmer. Ask, what is the specific thought that is generating this feeling? Perhaps the thought is, I will not be able to pay my rent. Now, go one level deeper. Ask, what fundamental belief about myself or the world must I hold in order to believe that thought is true? The belief might be, I am not capable of creating financial security, or the world is a place of lack and struggle, or there is never enough to go around. There it is. You have isolated a line of corrupt code. Once you have identified a core limiting belieflet, us use the common one. I have to work hard to earn money. You can begin the process of deconstruction. You place the belief in the light of your conscious awareness, and you ask it a series of powerful questions. First, is it true? Is it an absolute, universal law that you must work hard to earn money? Can you find any examples, anywhere in the world, of people who earn money through joy, through brilliant ideas, through smart investments, through inheritance? Of course you can. So, the belief is not absolutely true. Second, can you be absolutely certain that it's true? This question introduces a powerful wedge of doubt into the monolithic certainty of the belief. You cannot be absolutely certain. This softens its grip. Third, and most powerfully, how do you react? What happens in your life when you believe the thought that you must work hard for money? You feel stressed, you feel tired, you accept jobs you hate, You resent people for whom money seems to come easily. You see your life as a trade-off between time and money, joy and survival. You live in a state of constant, grinding effort. Your body is tense. Your spirit is weary. You see that this belief is the source of immense suffering. Finally, you ask the liberating question, who would you be without that thought? Close your eyes and genuinely imagine it. Imagine you woke up tomorrow and the belief I have to work hard for money was simply gone from your system. How would you feel? You would feel light, free, creative. You might pursue a passion project you've been putting off. You would be open to ideas of leverage and inspiration instead of just brute force. You would look for the path of joy, assuming it was also the path of abundance. In that feeling of freedom, you have opened a space, a void where the old code used to be. Now, into this newly created space, you must consciously install the new program. This is not a passive process. You are writing and compiling new code. First, you craft your new belief. It should be the empowered opposite of the old one. For example, money flows to me through joyful, inspired, and easy creation. Or I am a magnet for wealth, and it comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. Choose a statement that feels expansive and liberating. This statement is your new line of code. We call it an affirmation. But simply saying it once is like typing a command without pressing enter. The old belief was installed through thousands of repetitions. The new belief must also be installed through conscious, deliberate repetition. This is the act of carving a new, desired neural pathway in the brain. But repetition alone is not enough. This is where most people fail. You must add the second, critical ingredient, emotion. The emotion is what compiles the code. It is the energetic charge that takes the command from the conscious user and installs it deep within the subconscious operating system. When you repeat your new affirmation, money flows to me with ease, you must not let it be hollow words. You must, for that moment, generate the feeling of ease. Feel the relaxation in your shoulders. Feel the smile on your face. Feel the sense of playfulness and freedom. This is how you speak the language of the subconscious mind. It does not speak in words. It speaks in feelings. You can accelerate this installation process through techniques like scripting, writing out your ideal day in the past tense, as if it has already happened, and infusing the writing with the emotion of it all. Or through visualization, creating a vivid, sensory-rich mental movie of you living in your new reality, and again, feeling the feelings of it being real right now. This is the work. This is you, the programmer, diligently and lovingly upgrading your own system. As you do this, be prepared for the old programs to try to run again. You will have a good day, feeling abundant and free, and then suddenly a thought of worry will pop up. Do not see this as a failure. It is simply a bug report from the old system. You, the programmer, can look at it with detached amusement. You can say, thank you for flagging that. That's the old struggle program trying to execute. We don't run that code anymore. And then you calmly and deliberately run your new program by restating your affirmation and regenerating the feeling of your new reality. You do not fight the old code. You do not resist it. You simply make it obsolete by consistently choosing to run a superior program. With time, with gentle persistence, the new neural pathways will become the dominant ones. The new beliefs will become your default operating system. Your state of abundance will become as natural and automatic as your state of lack once was. You will have successfully rewritten the code of your reality. And now, with this new code being installed, you must learn to see the world through it, to gather the evidence that proves its truth, and in doing so, accelerate its complete and total integration. We have begun the sacred work of the programmer, reaching into the core of our being, to rewrite the obsolete code of scarcity and install the new, empowered programs of abundance. This inner work is the cause, the engine of all transformation, but it cannot exist in a vacuum. To accelerate this change and make it permanent, we must now turn our attention outward. We must learn to see the world not as it has been, but as it is becoming. We must consciously train our perception to align with our new inner reality. For this is the great secret of manifestation. The world does not change, your perception of it does. And when your perception of it changes, the world itself is changed for you. You do not see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. Your belief system is not just a collection of ideas, it is the very lens through which you view all of creation. If the lens is smudged with the fingerprints of lack, everything you look upon will appear dim and deficient. If the lens is polished with the clarity of abundance, the same world will reveal its infinite richness and splendor. Understand the powerful feedback loop that is always in operation. The universe has a fundamental need for coherence. It will always seek to provide you with evidence that validates your deepest beliefs. This is a neutral, impersonal law, like gravity. When you operate from the old code of scarcity, you are subconsciously commanded to scan your environment for proof of lack. Your eyes will be drawn to the closing down sales, the rising price of gas, the thing your neighbor has that you do not. Your ears will selectively tune into conversations about debt and economic downturn. Every piece of external data you gather serves as proof, which then reinforces the internal belief, which in turn commands you to find more proof. It is a self-perpetuating cycle of misery, the echo chamber made manifest in your physical world. To break free, we must consciously and deliberately initiate a new feedback loop. We must become sacred hunters, divine detectives, whose sole mission is to gather evidence that supports our new, empowering code. At first, this requires conscious effort. You are training your senses, which have been conditioned for years to spot problems, to now spot blessings. The first pieces of evidence you find will likely not be a winning lottery ticket or a suitcase of cash. The universe is more subtle, more playful, more poetic than that. You must learn its language. What does the evidence of abundance look like in its embryonic form? It looks like a coin on the pavement. The scarcity mind, the old program, would ignore it or see it as insignificant. The abundance mind, your new program, sees it for what it is, a physical manifestation of your new reality. It is the universe winking at you, saying, yes, the new code is running. Here is your first output. You pick it up, not for its monetary value, but for its symbolic power, and you say, thank you. I am open to receiving abundance in all its forms. Evidence can be a friend who insists on buying you a coffee. The old code might feel a twinge of guilt or indebtedness. The new code recognizes it as the flow of abundance coming to you through others. You receive it graciously, seeing it as proof that you are supported by the universe. Evidence is an unexpected discount on something you needed, a parking spot opening up right in front of you, a book falling off a shelf that contains the exact answer you were looking for. The old mind calls this coincidence or luck. The eyes of abundance see it as synchronicity, as the elegant, frictionless orchestration of a universe that is aligning with your new frequency. You must train yourself to see the overwhelming, irrefutable evidence that is screaming at you at all times. Nature itself. Look at a single tree. It produces thousands upon thousands of leaves year after year, without worrying if there are enough resources. It simply expresses its nature, and its nature is one of extravagant, profligate abundance. Look at the sky. It delivers a sunset of impossible beauty every single evening, a gift of infinite wealth that costs nothing. Feel the air you are breathing. There is an endless, effortless supply, delivered to you in every moment without condition or payment. Your body itself is evidence. It is a trillion-celled organism of such staggering complexity and intelligence that it boggles the mind, all working in harmony to give you this experience of life for free. When you begin to tune into the frequency of nature, you realize that the universe's default operating system is not lack. It is more than enough. Scarcity is an aberration, a human-made virus we have installed upon a system of flawless abundance. To make this practice concrete, to accelerate the rewiring of your brain, I invite you to become a collector of evidence. At the end of each day, take a journal and write down 3 to 5 pieces of evidence you gathered that day that prove your new reality is manifesting. No piece of evidence is too small. 1. I found $1 on the street. 2. My coworker shared her lunch with me because I forgot mine. 3. I had a brilliant idea for my project that came out of nowhere. 4. I heard my favorite song on the radio right when I needed a lift. By consciously seeking and recording this data, you are actively training your brain's reticular activating system, its filtering mechanism, to start looking for and paying attention to these things automatically. You are telling your subconscious mind, see, the new program is working. Find me more proof. And your subconscious, which is a loyal and powerful servant, will begin to work for you, not against you, scanning your world for more and more reasons to feel abundant. Perhaps the most advanced and powerful stage of this practice is learning to see the wealth and success of others through your new eyes of abundance. For the scarcity mind, seeing another person's success is a source of pain. It triggers the frequency of comparison and jealousy. Seeing a beautiful car or a luxurious home reinforces the belief, they have it, and I don't. There is not enough for me. This is one of the most toxic outputs of the old code. But with the eyes of abundance, you perform a sacred act of alchemy. When you see a person enjoying great wealth, you consciously choose to see them not as a competitor, but as a pioneer. You see their success as evidence. Evidence that such abundance is possible in the human experience. You use their reality to validate your own potential. You look at the beautiful car and you say, "Thank you for showing me what is possible. Thank you for expanding my vision of what can be created." You see the happy couple in the beautiful home and you say, "Thank you for being a living testament to prosperity and joy. If it is possible for you, it is possible for me. The universe is abundant." In this way, you transform the world from a source of painful triggers into a catalogue of inspiring possibilities. Every person's success becomes your own, because it proves the existence of the very reality you are choosing to create. As you commit to this new way of seeing, a magical shift begins to occur. The world begins to feel less solid and hostile, and more like a fluid, responsive, intelligent mirror. The feedback loop accelerates. The synchronicities become more frequent and more obvious. You are no longer trying to force anything to happen. You become a delighted observer, a co-creator watching in awe as the universe rearranges itself to reflect your inner transformation. You will find that you are not just seeing a different world, you are living in one. The facts may appear the same, but the truth has been transfigured. You have reprogrammed your code. You have retrained your perception. You now have the inner knowing and the outer evidence that abundance is your natural state. Now that your mind and your eyes are aligned, there is only one step left to complete this powerful integration. You must learn to embody this truth so fully that it becomes the feeling of your present moment reality. You must learn to live in the wish fulfilled. We have rewritten the code of our beliefs and retrained our eyes to see the world through the lens of abundance. The inner and outer worlds are beginning to harmonize. We now arrive at the pinnacle of the creative process, the keystone that locks the entire structure of manifestation into place. This is the most potent, most direct, and most liberating spiritual technology ever conceived. It is the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The great mystics and visionaries understood a fundamental truth about creation. It is already finished. Every potential outcome, Every possible reality already exists as a dormant pattern in the infinite field of consciousness, in the mind of God. Your journey through life is not one of fabricating a new reality from scratch, but of selecting a pre-existing reality from this infinite catalogue and consciously occupying it. The question is, how do you select it? You do not select it with struggle, or with hope, or with wanting. You select it by becoming a vibrational match to it. And the most direct way to do this is to begin at the end. You must dare to feel the feeling of your prayer already being answered. This requires a profound shift in your understanding of desire. For most of your life, you have been vibrating at the frequency of wanting. Wanting, by its very nature, is a powerful declaration of absence. To want something is to scream into the universe, "I do not have this." And the universe, in its perfect mirroring quality, faithfully responds, "You are right, you do not have this," and holds you in that state of not having. Wanting feels like thirst. It is a state of tension, of incompleteness, of emptiness. Assumption, on the other hand, is the frequency of having. It is the quiet, calm, confident and peaceful knowing that the desire is already a fact. It is the feeling of relief after the struggle is over. It is the feeling of satisfaction after the thirst has been quenched. We are not here to generate more thirst. We are here to generate the feeling of quenched satisfaction before the glass of water has physically appeared. This feeling, this state of being, is the creative cause. It is the signal that commands the unseen world to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. The faculty you use for this sacred work is not willpower, but your imagination. You must reclaim your imagination from the nursery of childish fantasy and recognize it for what it is, the sensory portal to the infinite. Your imagination is the creative workshop of the universe. It is the holy ground where you meet with the formless and give it form. To assume the wish fulfilled is to enter this workshop not as a beggar pleading for a miracle, but as a master artist sculpting your reality. The process is precise, simple, and profoundly effective. First, you must be clear on what you desire, but do not focus on the object or the amount of money itself. Focus on the state of being that it represents. You do not desire $1 million. You desire the feeling of freedom, security, ease, and the ability to be generous that you believe $1 million will give you. It is this end feeling, this state, that you will assume. Next, you will construct a short, simple, sensory-rich scene, which implies that your desire has been completely realized. The scene must take place after the fact. It should be an event that would only happen because your wish has been fulfilled. For instance, if you desire financial freedom, do not imagine receiving a check. That is the event leading up to it. Instead, imagine a scene after you have become free. Perhaps it is a simple, vivid conversation with a loved one. You can feel their hand in yours as they say, "I am so happy for your incredible success." And you reply, simply, "Thank you, isn't it wonderful?" Or perhaps the scene is you, sitting at your desk, looking at a final bill, stamping it paid in full and feeling a wave of immense, total relief wash over your entire body. The scene must be short, something you can loop easily. It must involve you personally, and it must be saturated with sensory detail, the touch, the sound, the feeling. The gateway into your creative workshop is the state of consciousness. The mystics call the state akin to sleep, or sats. This is the drowsy, hypnotic state you enter just before drifting off into slumber, or as you are first waking up. In this state, your conscious, analytical mind, the guardian of your old reality, is subdued. It is drowsy and non-resistant. Your subconscious mind, the fertile soil of creation, is open and profoundly receptive. This is the moment to begin your work. As you lie in this relaxed, comfortable state, you bring your short, imaginal scene to mind. You do not force it. You gently immerse yourself in it. You begin to loop it over and over again, like a gentle lullaby. You see the friend's face. You hear their voice. You feel the stamp in your hand. You loop it without effort, allowing it to feel more and more real with each repetition. And now, the crucial and final step of the imaginal act. As you loop the scene, your singular goal is to generate the corresponding feeling. You must feel the emotion of the scene as if it were happening to you right now, in this moment. Feel the pride and gratitude as your friend congratulates you. Feel the deep, soul-quenching relief as you stamp the bill paid. You must capture the mood, the emotional tone of the fulfilled desire. This feeling, this inner sensation, is the impregnation of the subconscious mind. It is the seed being planted. It is you, the artist, placing your seal of approval upon your creation. You persist in this act until the feeling of reality, the mood of the wish fulfilled, dominates your consciousness, and then you drift off to sleep, marinating in that feeling all night long. You have done the work. You have successfully assumed the state of the wish fulfilled. This assumption does not end when you open your eyes in the morning. You must learn to wear this new state of being like a comfortable garment. You must carry the mood of it with you into your waking day. You are no longer the person who is trying to get it. You are now the person who has it, living your life from this new inner conviction. When circumstances arise that appear to contradict your assumption, an unexpected bill arrives, an old fear surfaces. You do not panic. You do not see it as a sign of failure. You calmly remind yourself, that is merely a shadow of the old world. I am no longer living there. I am living from the end, in the reality where my wish is already a fact. You are no longer desperately looking for external signs to validate your belief. Your inner state of knowing is the sign. Finally, having successfully impressed the subconscious mind, you must learn to enter the Sabbath. This is the divine state of rest. You cease all effort. You stop the imaginal act, not because it didn't work, but because it did. You have planted the seed in the fertile darkness of your subconscious. You do not now dig it up every day to check on its progress. To do so would be an act of doubt, which would kill the seed. You now walk in the quiet, confident faith that what you have done in your imagination is a fact in consciousness, and it must, by law, objectify itself in your world. You drop the desire. You let it go completely, knowing that it is done. You trust the process. This state of non-interference allows the seed to germinate and grow in its own perfect timing, in its own perfect way. This is the path of effortless creation. But even as you walk in this high state of knowing, you are still human. You still inhabit a world of duality. And the shadows of your old self, the dragons of fear and doubt, will inevitably rise to challenge your new sovereignty. To make this assumption your permanent home, you must learn how to meet these guardians of the old world, not with a sword, but with a dance. You have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You have walked in your imagination as the person you desire to be, and you have tasted the sweet relief of it is done. You carry this sacred mood into your day. And then it happens. A shadow falls. An old thought pattern arises. A circumstance appears in your world that directly contradicts your new reality. And with it comes the familiar, chilling companion, fear. It arrives as a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your throat, a cascade of racing, catastrophic thoughts. This is the moment of your greatest test and your greatest opportunity. For years, you have been conditioned to interpret this feeling as a stop sign, a warning that you are on the wrong path, a signal to retreat to the safety of what is known. But this is a profound misunderstanding of fear's purpose. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a compass. It is a guardian. And its presence does not mean you are in danger. It means you are standing at the very edge of your liberation. Imagine that every great desire, Every new level of consciousness and abundance you wish to attain is a magnificent treasure locked away in a sacred vault. And guarding the entrance to this vault, there is always a dragon. This dragon's name is fear. Its scales are your limiting beliefs, and its fiery breath is the visceral feeling of anxiety that scorches your nervous system. For most of your life, you have done one of two things when you encountered this dragon. You either saw it from a distance and immediately turned and fled back to your familiar village of limitation, never even attempting to claim the treasure. Or you armored yourself with bravado and attempted to fight the dragon, to slay it with willpower and resistance. But you found that fighting the dragon only made it stronger. Its fire met your fire, creating a terrible battle that left you exhausted and defeated, convinced the treasure was not for you. There is a third way, the way of the master, the way of the dancer. You do not run from the dragon, and you do not fight it. You walk calmly towards it. You look it directly in the eye, and you begin to dance with its fire. To do this, we must first deconstruct this terrifying, monolithic monster called fear and see it for what it truly is. A combination of pure physical energy in your body and a stream of projected thoughts in your mind. That is all. It is not a prophecy. It is not an indictment of your worth. It is just energy and thoughts. Let's start with the energy. The next time fear arises, I invite you not to recoil, but to become a curious, dispassionate scientist of your own inner experience. Where precisely in your body do you feel it? Is it a hollow feeling in your solar plexus, a buzzing energy in your hands and feet, a pressure behind your eyes, a constriction around your heart? Do not label it fear or anxiety. Simply notice it as a pure physical sensation. There is a sensation of tightness here. There is a vibration of energy here. By stripping away the label, you take away its power. You separate the raw sensation from the terrifying story the mind has woven around it. You are no longer a fearful person. You are a conscious being observing a temporary flow of energy within your physical vessel. Now, let's look at the second component, the thoughts. Fear is never about the present moment. In the pure, simple now, you are safe. You are breathing. You are here. Fear lives exclusively in the imagination, but it misuses it for destruction instead of creation. It is a constant barrage of future tense horror stories. What if I lose all my money? What if I launch my business and no one buys anything? What if they laugh at me? What if I make the wrong decision and ruin my life? These thoughts are the dragon's roar. They are loud, dramatic, and designed for one purpose: intimidation. But you must realize they are just noise. They are phantoms. Not a single one of them is true in this present moment. They are merely the ego's attempt to scare you away from the unknown, to keep you in the predictable misery it can control. Your work is not to argue with the roars, which only gives them credibility. Your work is to allow them to echo through the vast, silent chamber of your awareness without believing they are your own. You let the thoughts play their dramatic movie in the background, while you keep your core attention anchored in the simple reality of the present moment. This is the dance floor, the now. And here are the steps of the dance. First, when the energy of fear arises, you stop. You do not run. You turn to face it. You open your inner arms and you say, "Welcome, I feel you. I acknowledge your presence. You are allowed to be here for a moment." This simple act of welcoming is a radical rebellion against a lifetime of resistance. Resistance is fuel for fear. Acceptance is the water that calms its fire. The dragon, expecting a fight or a flight, is momentarily disarmed by your calm presence. The second step is to breathe. You consciously direct your breath into the physical location of the fear. If your chest is tight, you breathe into your chest, imagining your breath as a warm, healing light, creating space around the constriction. You don't try to force the feeling out. You simply surround it with spaciousness and love. You are holding the scared part of yourself with compassion. The third step is to unhook from the story. You notice the what-if thoughts, and you gently let them float by like clouds in the sky, without climbing aboard them. You keep bringing your focus back to the breath, and back to the raw, physical sensation in your body. The fourth and final step of the dance is to take action, while still feeling the residual energy of fear, while the dragon is still breathing nearby. You take one small, graceful step in the direction of the treasure. You make the call you've been dreading. You write the first paragraph of your proposal. You click publish. You prove to yourself, and more importantly, to the universe, that your choices are no longer governed by the presence of fear. The dragon roars, and you take a step. It roars louder, and you take another. This is the dance of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act in spite of it. When you practice this, you will discover the truth of fear as a compass. The very things you are most afraid of are almost always a direct pointer to your soul's greatest expansion. The fear of being seen points to the treasure of your unique voice and message. The fear of financial risk points to the treasure of trusting in universal abundance. The fear of intimacy points to the treasure of profound love and connection. The dragon does not guard a pile of rocks, it guards the gold. Start seeing fear as a signpost that reads, "Your treasure is this way," and know the difference between the ego's chaotic fear and the calm, clear knowing of your intuition. Intuition does not scream, it whispers. It feels peaceful, even if its message is a warning. Ego, fear is always loud, frantic, and demanding. Learn to listen to the quiet wisdom and dance with the loud noise. As you learn to dance with this energy, you no longer need the world to be safe and predictable. You develop a deep, unshakable trust in your own ability to meet whatever arises. You have faced the dragon and not flinched. You have felt its fire and not been burned. What is there left to be afraid of? This newfound inner security changes everything. It allows you to hold your desires lightly. You no longer need them to be fulfilled in order to feel okay. You no longer desperately grasp for a specific outcome as a life raft to save you from the stormy seas of fear. You have become your own life raft. You can now approach your desires and the entire creative process from a place of powerful, non-attached preference. You can stand before the universe with open hands, stating your desire with clarity, but without the desperate, clenched fist energy of need. And it is this posture, this open hand of detachment, that is the most receptive posture of all. It is the posture that finally, truly, allows abundance to flow in. Having learned to dance with the dragon of fear, you have cultivated a deep and abiding inner security. You know now that your well-being is not contingent on the external world, but is generated from within. This realization brings you to the threshold of one of the most sublime and paradoxical truths of creation. To truly and effortlessly receive what you desire, you must first be willing to let it go. You must learn the sacred art of detachment. This is the final key that unlocks the flow of grace, transforming the arduous process of striving into the joyful experience of allowing. Imagine your desire held in your hand. For most of your life, driven by fear and a sense of lack, you have held it in a clenched, white-knuckled fist. You grip it tightly, terrified it will escape, constantly checking to make sure it is still there. This clenched fist, born of need and desperation, may feel like control, but it is a prison. A hand that is clenched to hold onto something cannot receive anything new. It is closed off to the universe. Detachment is the gentle, conscious, and powerful act of uncurling those fingers. It is the opening of the hand, not to discard the desire, but to hold it lightly, with trust. It is a posture that says to the universe, "I am open to this," or something even better, "I am ready to receive." To master this art, we must draw a sharp and clear distinction between two very different energies. intention, and attachment. This distinction is everything. Intention is the creative, focused, and joyful energy that initiates the entire process. It is the work we have already explored. It is you, in your power as a conscious creator, choosing a reality you would like to experience. It is the clarity of deciding what you want. It is the joy of crafting your imaginal scene. It is the love you feel as you assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Intention is the pure, powerful, high-frequency act of aiming the arrow of your desire and releasing it from the bow of your imagination with conviction. It is a clean, beautiful, and necessary act. Attachment is the anxious, fearful, low-frequency energy that often follows. It is the archer, having shot the arrow, immediately starting to second-guess the shot. It is the desperate need to run after the arrow, to control its flight, to check its trajectory, to worry about the wind. Attachment is the voice of the ego whispering, "Is it working? When will it get here? What if I did it wrong? I need this to happen." It is the energy of the micromanager trying to tell the infinite intelligence of the universe how and when to do its job. This needy, contracted energy of attachment is the very clenched fist that repels the good you have asked for. Let us examine the physics of this. Your state of being is a broadcast, and attachment is a signal of profound lack. The feeling "I need this to happen in order to be happy" is a thunderous declaration to the universe that you are not happy now. It is a powerful affirmation of your own incompleteness. And the universe, the great mirror, must reflect this state back to you, holding you in the very state of needing and unhappiness that you are so desperately trying to escape. Attachment constricts the flow. Imagine your desire for abundance is a mighty river. You cannot receive this river by trying to grab the water in your fists. You can only receive it by becoming an open, wide, and welcoming channel. The needy energy of attachment is an attempt to dam the river, to control it, to possess it. This act of constriction shrinks the channel, allowing only a frustrating trickle of your desire to get through, if anything at all. Furthermore, attachment is an act of profound arrogance. It presumes to know the best way for your desire to manifest. You set your intention for financial freedom, and then you dictate that it must come in the form of a specific job, or a specific lottery win, or by a specific date. You are handing a master artist a paint-by-numbers kit and demanding they create a masterpiece. By trying to control the how and the when, you close yourself off to the infinite, magical, and often far more wonderful ways the universe could deliver your desire to you. Detachment is the humility and wisdom to say, "I have chosen the destination. I will now trust the master artist to design the journey." So how do we practice this? How do we consciously open the hand? The first step is to perform a sacred ritual of release. After you have diligently performed your imaginal act, after you have marinated in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you must consciously and deliberately let it go. You can create your own ritual. You might visualize placing your fully formed desire inside a beautiful, luminous bubble. You see it in all its perfect detail. Then, with a feeling of deep trust and love, you watch yourself release the bubble, letting it float up into the cosmos, knowing it has been received and is being taken care of. As you release it, you affirm, "This, or something better, now manifests for me in perfect timing and for the highest good of all concerned. I release the how and the when. It is done." This act creates a clear, energetic boundary. The creative work is finished. Now, the receiving can begin. The true key to making this release possible is to find your sense of wholeness now, before the manifestation arrives. Your happiness cannot be held hostage, contingent upon a future event. If your inner monologue is, "I will be at peace once I have the money," you have guaranteed you will have neither. The universe will not deliver peace to a consciousness that is broadcasting turmoil. You must find your peace first. This is the ultimate purpose of this entire journey. You anchor yourself in the present moment. You practice the alchemy of gratitude for what is already in your life. You go for a walk in nature. You listen to music. You connect with a loved one. You do whatever it takes to find a state of joy, peace, and fullness right now, independent of any external condition. When you realize that you, as pure awareness, are already whole, complete, and lacking nothing, the desperate need for the external thing dissolves. The clenched fist of your soul naturally relaxes. The desire transforms from a desperate need into a joyful preference. It moves from, "I need this" to "survive" to, "Wouldn't it be nice if this were to unfold?" This light, playful energy is magnetic. It is the open channel. It is the posture of trust. Think of it as planting a seed. The clear intention, the imaginal act, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, this is the sacred act of planting a precious seed in the fertile, dark soil of your subconscious mind. You have done your part perfectly. What does a wise farmer do next? Does he go out every hour with a shovel and dig up the seed to see if it's sprouting? Does he scream at the soil, demanding to know when the harvest will come? Of course not. To do so would be an act of profound distrust that would destroy the very creation he desires. A wise farmer trusts the process. He knows the seed has been planted. He continues to water the soil with faith and good feeling. He removes the weeds of doubt, but he allows the seed to follow its own divine timing, to undergo its mysterious gestation in the darkness. Your desire is this seed. Detachment is your trust in the soil. It is your faith in the unseen process. Every time you worry, every time you check for results, every time you feel impatient, you are digging up the seed. You must have the discipline and the wisdom to let it be, knowing that what is planted in consciousness must, by law, eventually sprout into the world of form. This art of detachment is the ultimate expression of faith. It is a powerful declaration that you are not a helpless victim in a random world, but a sovereign co-creator in an intelligent, benevolent, and responsive universe. You are graduating from the role of an anxious micromanager to that of a trusting partner. You do your part, the joyful work of choosing and feeling, and then you open your hands and allow the infinite wisdom of the universe to handle the intricate logistics. You set the what, and you surrender the how. This open-handed, trusting, surrendered state does not lead to passivity. On the contrary, it clears the way for a new kind of action to emerge, an action that is not born of desperate, fearful hustling, but one that flows effortlessly from a place of inspiration, intuition, and grace. You have opened your hand. You have released your desperate need for a specific outcome, trusting in the wisdom of a universe that is conspiring in your favor. This posture of detached faith does not lead to a state of passive inaction. On the contrary, it clears the space for a new, infinitely more powerful and intelligent form of action to emerge. We must now dismantle one of the most sacred and damaging idols in the temple of our culture, the idol of hard work. You have been taught from birth that struggle is noble, that exhaustion is a badge of honor, that the path to abundance must be paved with your own sweat, sacrifice, and suffering. You have been told that you must earn your success through grueling, joyless effort. This belief is the very engine of the scarcity mindset. It is the central program that keeps the prison doors locked, ensuring that even if you do achieve some measure of success, you will be too depleted and resentful to enjoy it. Today, we are going to uninstall that program. We are going to graduate from the gospel of struggle and learn the art of effortless creation. Imagine that action flows from two different rivers, two distinct sources of power. The first is the river of struggle. This is the river of hard work. Its source is the ego, and it is fed by the streams of fear, doubt, and lack. The energy behind this action is the contracted feeling of, "I don't have enough, so I must force the world to give it to me." This is the action of pushing a giant boulder up a steep hill. It feels heavy, draining, and joyless. It is the phone call you dread making, the project you have to drag yourself to complete, the work that feels like a constant battle. The motivation behind this struggle is always fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. It is an attempt by the ego to control the universe, to micromanage every outcome because it does not trust the flow of life. When you operate from this river, your focus is entirely on the effort itself. You believe your reward is proportional to your suffering. You wear your burnout as a sign of your worthiness. And the results, they are often meager, frustrating, and slow to arrive. And even if you do manage to push the boulder to the top of the hill, you are too exhausted to appreciate the view, and you find another, even larger boulder waiting for you. Now, imagine a second river. This is the river of grace. This is the river of inspired action. Its source is not the ego, but your higher self, your connection to the universal intelligence. It is fed by the streams of joy, trust, and alignment. The energy behind this action is the expansive feeling of, it is already done. So what is the next joyful step in its unfolding? This is not the action of pushing a boulder uphill. This is the action of sitting in a sturdy boat, holding the rudder lightly, and allowing the powerful, intelligent current of the river to carry you effortlessly towards your destination. The feeling of inspired action is one of lightness, of excitement, of enthusiasm. It feels like flow. It is the idea that energizes you, the conversation that sparks your creativity, the task that you become so absorbed in that time itself seems to disappear. The motivation here is not fear, but love. Love for the act of creation itself. A genuine curiosity to see what wants to be born through you. Your focus is on the joy of the action, not the outcome, because you have already assumed the outcome is assured. The results of inspired action often feel magical. They are synchronistic, leveraged, and disproportionately powerful compared to the effort exerted. A single inspired phone call can achieve more than 1,000 resentful cold calls. 1 hour in a state of creative flow can produce a work of genius that a week of struggle could never touch. This is the art of working with the universe, not against it. Learning to distinguish between these two currents is the most vital skill you will ever develop. Your inner being is a finely calibrated instrument, a compass that will always tell you which river you are in. Your primary guide is your body. Forced action, born of struggle, always creates a physical contraction. Notice it now. Think of a task you have been putting off, something you feel you should do. Feel the immediate tightening in your shoulders, the clenching in your jaw, the shallowing of your breath. That feeling of dread, of heaviness, that is your body's wisdom telling you, this is not the way. You are pushing the boulder. Now, think of something that genuinely excites you, a creative project or a passionate hobby. Notice the opposite reaction, a sense of openness in your chest, a feeling of lightness, a deeper breath. That is your body saying, yes, this is the current, this is the river of grace. The simplest litmus test is the presence of joy. Even if an action is challenging, if it is inspired, it will be accompanied by a sense of rightness, of purpose, of underlying enthusiasm. Forced action is always accompanied by the heavy energy of obligation. You must learn to honor this guidance system above all else. Your feelings are not random. They are your direct communication link with the universal intelligence. The ego will immediately object to this. It will scream, "This is lazy. If I just sit around waiting to feel inspired, nothing will ever get done. I have responsibilities." This is the voice of the slave driver, terrified of losing its control. We must reframe this understanding. Waiting for inspiration is not a state of passive laziness, it is a state of active alignment. When you don't feel the clear, inspired pull to act, your work is not to do nothing, Your work is to do the most important thing of all. You are to tend to your own vibration. You meditate. You go for a walk in nature. You play. You listen to music. You practice the alchemy of gratitude. You do whatever it takes to raise your frequency and bring yourself back into a state of feeling good. You are not waiting. You are tuning your radio. You are making yourself a clear receiver for the broadcast of inspiration. To act from a place of low-frequency dread is to guarantee a low-frequency result. To instead use that time to deliberately cultivate a high frequency of joy and trust ensures that when the inspiration does arrive, your action will be potent, powerful, and perfectly aligned. 1 hour of action taken from the river of grace will always outperform 100 hours of toil in the river of struggle. It is not about working hard, it is about working in harmony. Inspiration arrives in many forms. It is rarely a booming voice from the heavens. It is more often a subtle nudge, a quiet knowing. It can be a sudden urge to call an old friend who just happens to have the contact you need. It can be a persistent idea that won't leave you alone, a solution that seems to download into your mind while you are in the shower. It can be the impulse to take a different route home, where you stumble upon the perfect office space for your new venture. It can be the feeling of being in the zone, where the words flow, the design creates itself, the code writes itself, and your personal sense of effort falls away, replaced by the feeling of being a channel for something greater. Your task is to develop a deep trust in these non-linear, intuitive whispers and to act on them with faith, without needing to logically understand them completely. The more you trust and act on these nudges, the louder and clearer they will become. When you commit to living in this way, you cease being a glorified beast of burden, and you become a dancer with the divine. You let go of the oars of struggle, and you learn to use the rudder of your intention to navigate the powerful, intelligent current of life itself. The universe begins to work through you, not just for you. You become a clear and open channel for its creative intelligence to express itself. And as this channel widens, the tangible evidence of your alignment, the physical markers of abundance, will inevitably begin to flow into your life with increasing consistency. This includes the energy we call money. The arrival of this energy, not as a hard-won prize but as a natural consequence of joyful living, requires us to form a new, healthier, and more empowered relationship with it. We must learn to see it not as a demanding God to be worshipped and feared, but as a simple, neutral tool to be used in our effortless creation. By committing to the path of inspired action, you have aligned yourself with the effortless flow of the universe. You have become an open channel for grace and intelligence to move through you. As this channel widens, the tangible results of your new alignment will begin to appear in your life with greater frequency and ease. This includes the specific form of energy that humanity has named money. Its arrival presents you with another crucial test, another opportunity for profound liberation. For your entire life, you have been under a powerful hypnotic spell, a collective trance that has convinced you that these pieces of paper, these metal coins, these numbers on a screen, hold the keys to your happiness, your freedom, and your self-worth. You have been taught to worship at the altar of a false god, a demanding, temperamental, and elusive god named money. Today, we break the spell. We will walk up to this idol, look it directly in the eye, and see it for what it truly is. Not a master to be served, but a simple tool to be wielded. Let us strip this concept down to its naked, neutral essence. What is money? In its origin, it was simply an ingenious solution to the inconvenience of the barter system. It is a unit of exchange, a social agreement, a practical tool to facilitate the flow of goods and services. It is a symbol, and like all symbols, it has no inherent power or meaning of its own. All of its power, all of the immense emotional charge it holds for you, is power that you, and the collective consciousness have projected onto it. At its most fundamental level, money is simply a form of energy, and energy, in its pure state, is always neutral. It has no character, no morality, no agenda. It simply is. Think of money as being like water. Water is a powerful, life-giving force. It can quench the thirst of a nation, irrigate a desert, and turn it into a lush garden, or flow as a majestic and beautiful river. But that same neutral energy of water can also manifest as a destructive flood, a stagnant and diseased swamp, or a catastrophic tsunami. The water itself is neither good nor evil. Its effect, whether creative or destructive, is determined entirely by the consciousness that directs it and the channel through which it flows. You are that consciousness. You are that channel. Money is just the water. You have been taught to fear the water, to worship the water, to believe that your life depends on grabbing and hoarding every last drop. It is time to remember that you are the master of the waterways. The reason money feels so charged, so intensely powerful, is that we have projected all of our deepest human needs and fears onto this neutral screen. First, we project our need for security. We believe that a large number in a bank account will act as a fortress against the uncertainties of life, against sickness, against loss, against death. This projection turns money into a source of constant anxiety. We fear losing it, and we feel a deep, gnawing insecurity when we don't have enough of it. But this is an illusion. True security is never external. It is the internal, unshakable knowing that you are a child of the universe, always supported, and that you possess the inner resources and creativity to handle whatever life brings. It is a trust in the flow, not a trust in a number. Second, we project our desire for freedom. We create vision boards of all the things we will do and the places we will go when we have the money. We believe it is the key that will unlock the cage of our circumstances. But true freedom is also an internal state. It is the freedom from the tyranny of your own ego. It is the liberation from the prison of your limiting beliefs. It is the freedom to choose your state of being in any given moment, regardless of your bank balance. A person can be a billionaire and be a complete slave to their own fears and addictions. Another can have very little and be sovereignly free in their own consciousness. You are looking for a feeling of freedom, and you have mistakenly outsourced the job of creating it to an external tool. Third, and most toxically, we project our sense of worth. Our society has created a diabolical equation. Net worth equals self-worth. The number on your financial statement has become a direct measure of your value as a human being. This single devastating projection is the source of immeasurable suffering. It creates deep shame, guilt, and feelings of failure in those who have little. And for those who have much, it creates a terrified, desperate need to maintain and increase that number at all costs, lest their very identity collapse. We must sever this connection with ruthless compassion. Your worth is infinite, inherent, and unconditional. It was bestowed upon you at the moment of your creation. It has nothing to do with your job, your accomplishments, or the currency you possess. You are a unique expression of life itself, and therefore your value is absolute and immeasurable. Your new relationship with money is not one of worship, but one of calm, detached respect. You do not worship the electricity that powers your home, but you respect its power. You do not get on your knees and pray to a hammer, but you appreciate it as a useful tool for building things. This is the attitude you must cultivate towards money. You are a good steward of this energy. You track it without fear. You organize it without anxiety. You direct it with clear, conscious intention. You must make a fundamental shift in hierarchy. Money is not your master. It is your servant. It is a resource that is here to serve your vision, to amplify your joy, to facilitate your creative expression. You are the consciousness that gives the commands. You tell the energy where to go and what to do. Its purpose is not to sit stagnant in an account, breeding more fear. Its purpose is to flow. A healthy relationship with this energy requires that the channel be open in both directions. You learn to allow it to flow in with grace and gratitude, releasing all guilt and feelings of unworthiness, and you learn to allow it to flow out with joy and purpose, releasing all fear of lack. When you use money to create a beautiful experience, to learn something new, to help another being, to bring a creative idea to life, you are using it as the tool it was meant to be. This joyful, purposeful outflow keeps the channel clear, signaling to the universe that you are a responsible and effective conduit for its abundance, making it eager to send you more. Let us make this real with a simple practice. Take out a single coin or a bill from your wallet. If you prefer, simply close your eyes and visualize the number that represents your current bank balance. As you look at this symbol, notice the immediate emotional and physical reaction in your body. Notice the flicker of fear, or the pang of desire, or the wave of shame, or the feeling of pride. Just observe this charge. Now, with your conscious intention, begin to strip away these projected meanings. Say to this symbol, either out loud or internally, "You are not my security. My security is within me. You are not my freedom. My freedom is my state of being. You are not my worth. My worth is infinite and unconditional." Feel these layers of heavy, projected meaning dissolving. Watch as the symbol in your hand or in your mind becomes what it truly is. Just paper and ink, just metal, just pixels on a screen. Feel its neutrality. It is empty. Now, from this empty space, you, the master, will assign it its new, true purpose. Look at it again and say, "You are a tool. You are a neutral energy. You are my servant. You will be used to generate joy, to express my creativity, and to serve the highest good. You are a symbol of the universe's infinite support." Feel the shift in power. You are no longer the subject looking up at a god. You are the master, instructing a tool. When you successfully demote money from its divine pedestal and place it firmly in its toolbox, a profound sense of liberation will wash over you. The desperate, anxious striving ceases. You realize that your wealth was never truly contained in a bank account. That number is just one small liquid asset in a vast and magnificent portfolio of riches that you already possess. This realization opens the door to a much grander, more holistic, and more truthful definition of what it actually means to be wealthy. We have demoted money from a god to a tool. We have placed it back in the toolbox where it belongs, freeing ourselves from its hypnotic tyranny. This act of liberation creates a vast, open space in our consciousness. Into this space, we must now introduce a new, far more truthful and magnificent definition of wealth. For too long, humanity has been suffering from a profound poverty of abundance. We have been conditioned to measure the entire, multidimensional richness of a human life by a single, flat, and often misleading metric: our financial net worth. In the blind pursuit of this one number, we have willingly, even eagerly, sacrificed our most precious and irreplaceable assets. We have sold our time, depleted our health, strained our relationships, and silenced our creative spirit, all to accumulate more of a neutral tool we barely understood. We have become the bewildered dragons, sitting atop a hoard of gold in a barren wasteland, wondering why we feel so empty. It is time to awaken from this delusion. It is time to audit your true portfolio, the superabundance portfolio, and to realize with a sense of profound and joyful shock that you are already immeasurably rich. I invite you now to see yourself not as a struggler or a seeker, but as the wise fund manager of your own magnificent life. A wise manager knows that the secret to a stable and flourishing portfolio is diversification. To be over-invested in one single asset class is to be dangerously exposed. to be courting a crash. Your life is this portfolio, and its assets are varied, vibrant, and infinitely more valuable than mere currency. We will now conduct an honest audit of these assets to open your eyes to the boundless fortune you already possess. Let us begin with the asset of vitality. This is the sheer, incalculable wealth of your physical body. Consider the miracle of a heart that beats over 100,000 times a day without a single conscious command from you. Consider the lungs that draw in the breath of life, fueling every cell in your being, a process so effortless you rarely even notice it. The wealth of having eyes that can behold a sunrise, ears that can hear a symphony, legs that can carry you on a walk through the woods. Think of a billionaire suffering from a terminal illness. What portion of their vast fortune would they trade for just one more healthy day in your body? Would they not trade all of it? In that light, what is the true value of your vitality? It is priceless. It is the very foundation upon which all other life experiences are built. To neglect this asset in the pursuit of money is the most foolish trade a human being can make. To nurture it with good food, with rest, with joyful movement, this is the wisest investment you will ever make. Feel the life force buzzing in you now. Acknowledge this boundless biological fortune. Next, let us audit the asset of temporality. This is the wealth of your time. Time is the one truly non-renewable resource you are given. Every moment that passes is a precious jewel that can never be reclaimed. Yet, you have been taught to sell this priceless asset for a meager wage. You have been told to spend your time to earn a living. Look at the language. It implies a terrible bargain. You must learn to see your time not as a currency to be spent, but as a treasure to be invested. What is the value of a single, unscheduled hour in which you are free to do exactly as you please? An hour to read a book that expands your mind, to have a conversation that nourishes your soul, to sit in silence and simply be. What is the value of a day lived at your own pace, not dictated by the clock of another? This wealth of discretionary time is one of the truest measures of freedom. When you begin to value your time as the treasure it is, you will stop trading it away for things that do not enrich your life. You will start to see that having an abundance of time is a far greater fortune than having an abundance of money with no time to enjoy it. Now, consider the asset of connection. This is the profound wealth of your relationships. What is the value of having one person in your life with whom you can be completely yourself, who sees you and loves you without condition? What is the net worth of a child's unrestrained laughter, or the comfort of a shared history with a lifelong friend, or the feeling of belonging within a community? These are the riches of the heart. Money cannot buy true intimacy, genuine respect, or unconditional love. In fact, the pursuit of money often complicates and strains these very connections. You already have a vast fortune in the love you are able to give and to receive. To invest in this assetto, spend quality time with your loved ones, to listen with presence, to express your appreciation as to cultivate a form of wealth that will sustain you through any financial winter. Let us examine the asset of creativity. This is the wealth of your mind, your imagination, your unique talents. It is the generative power to bring new ideas into the world. What is the value of a single brilliant idea that could solve a problem for thousands of people? What is the richness of losing yourself in a creative pursuit, be it painting, writing, gardening, or coding? This is a form of wealth that literally creates something from nothing. It is an inner spring that can never run dry. The world may be able to take your money, but it can never take your ability to create. This is your divine inheritance, a direct link to the creative power of the universe itself. To nurture this asset, to give yourself time to play, to explore, to learn, and to express your unique genius, is to cultivate a fortune that is truly your own. And now, perhaps the most precious asset of all, serenity. This is the wealth of your inner peace. The ability to sit in a quiet room and feel calm, centered, and free from the incessant chatter of the anxious ego. What is the value of a single night of deep, untroubled sleep? Or the ability to remain poised and calm in the midst of external chaos? Or the simple, profound joy of a quiet mind? People spend their entire lives and their entire fortunes chasing this state. They seek it in possessions, in substances, in distractions, but it can only ever be found within. If you can cultivate even moments of this inner stillness through practices like meditation and mindfulness, you possess a blue-chip asset of incalculable worth, a sanctuary that no market crash can ever touch. When you begin to see your life through the lens of this superabundance portfolio, your entire perspective shifts. You realize you are not a poor person striving to get rich. You are an infinitely rich being who is simply choosing to expand one particular asset class called financial resources. The pressure is gone, the desperation dissolves. You make decisions differently. You no longer ask only, will this make me money? You begin to ask, is this a good investment for my portfolio as a whole? Will this action enhance my vitality? Will it grant me more temporal freedom? Will it enrich my connections? Will it nourish my peace? Money now takes its rightful place in this grander vision. It is no longer the sole objective. It is a support asset, a useful and welcome tool to enhance the other, more important assets in your portfolio. You use money to buy nutritious food to fuel your vitality. You use it to delegate tasks to free up your precious time. You use it to create beautiful shared experiences that deepen your connections. You use it to buy the supplies for your creative passions. Money becomes a servant to the richness of your life, not the master of it. When you truly know and feel the reality of this vast, pre-existing wealth, you begin to move through the world differently. You are no longer a needy beggar, pleading with the universe for a few more scraps from its table. You are a king, an empress, a sovereign being, already rich beyond your wildest dreams, moving through your kingdom with grace and confidence. This deep, internal feeling of fullness, this state of already being abundant, has a natural consequence. A cup that is truly full cannot help but overflow. Your richness begins to spill out, to bless the world around you. And this leads you to the discovery of the most magical principle of all, the sacred loop of generosity that ensures your fountain will never run dry. You have now arrived at a profound understanding. You are already wealthy beyond measure, in possession of a vast and diversified portfolio of life's true assets. From this newfound inner state of fullness, you begin to interact with the world differently. You are no longer a needy vacuum, trying to pull resources from a stingy world. You are a radiant sun, and your very nature is to shine. This leads us to the discovery of a sacred, self-perpetuating principle that ensures your inner wealth translates into boundless outer resources. This is the discovery of the generosity loop, the sacred law of flow. To understand this principle, you must first understand the nature of the universe itself. The universe is not a static vault of closely guarded treasures. It is a living, breathing, dynamic organism, and its very essence is circulation. Abundance is a river, not a reservoir. Its nature is to move. To try and hoard it, to build a dam of fear around your possessions and your money, is to defy its fundamental nature. In doing so, you do not protect your wealth. You turn your vibrant river into a stagnant, lifeless swamp. Think of it like your own breath. You are constantly engaged in a perfect, effortless rhythm of receiving and releasing. You inhale, receiving the life-giving air from the world. Then, without a moment's thought, you exhale, releasing it back. What would happen if you decided that the receiving part was the only part that mattered? What if, out of fear that there might not be another breath available, you tried to hold on to the one you just took? Your lungs would burn, your body would panic, and you would collapse. suffocating not from a lack of air, but from your refusal to release it. Hoarding is holding your breath. Generosity is the exhale that makes the next joyful inhale possible. The scarcity mindset, trapped in the illusion of a zero-sum game, believes that life is a finite pie. It believes that if it gives a slice to another, its own slice is diminished. It operates from a deep fear of not enough, and so it clings, it competes, and it withholds. But you are now awakening to a higher truth. The universe is not a finite pie. It is an infinite, self-replenishing ocean of energy. And in this ocean, a different law applies. What you give, you receive, multiplied. This is not a moral platitude. It is a law of energetic physics. The universe, it is said, abhors a vacuum. When you give freely from a sense of fullness, you are creating an energetic void. This void becomes a powerful vacuum, a space of pure potential that the infinite intelligence of the universe must rush to fill. The very act of releasing energy creates the space for new energy to flow in. Furthermore, your action of giving is a powerful broadcast to the universe. It is a statement of profound trust. Your action declares, louder than any words, I live in an abundant universe. I am so fully supported, so deeply provided for, that I can share what I have without a single thought of lack. The universe, the great mirror, hears this declaration of trust and fullness, and it must reflect that reality back to you. It says, here is a being who understands the nature of flow. Here is a clear and trustworthy channel. Let us send more resources through this channel. The giving does not deplete you. The giving is the very cause of your expansion. Now, we must make the most important distinction in this entire teaching. We are not talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving from a place of lack. It is the ego's masochistic and misguided attempt to earn worthiness through pain. Sacrifice feels like depletion, like resentment, like giving away your last crust of bread with a bitter heart. It is a low-frequency broadcast of, I am making myself smaller so that another can be bigger, and it only attracts more circumstances that require you to diminish yourself. This is not the path to abundance. We are talking about generosity. Generosity is giving from a place of overflow. It is the natural impulse of a cup that is so full, it cannot help but spill its contents, blessing everything around it. Generosity feels joyful, expansive, and energizing. It is a high-frequency broadcast of I have more than enough, and it attracts more and more evidence of that truth. Before you give a single penny, you must first cultivate the inner state of fullness. You must connect with the boundless assets in your superabundance portfolio, your vitality, your time, your love, your creativity. You give from that feeling of richness. If you do not feel abundant in money, then do not give money. Instead, find what you do feel abundant in and give that. Do you feel an abundance of kindness in your heart? Share it through a genuine compliment to a stranger. Do you feel an abundance of knowledge on a certain topic? Share it freely with someone who is struggling. Do you feel an abundance of strength in your body? Offer to help someone carry their groceries. Do you feel an abundance of presence? Give the gift of your undivided attention to a loved one. These are all potent acts of generosity that initiate the sacred loop. You are telling the universe that you are a giver, a source, a fountain. As you become more comfortable with this state, you can begin to practice conscious financial generosity. When you are paying for a coffee, leave a generous tip, not as an obligation, but as a joyful act. As you hand over the money, feel the genuine feeling of being a wealthy benefactor, someone who is happy to contribute to another person's livelihood. Feel the joy of circulation. When you pay a bill, do not do so with a contracted heart, feeling the loss of the money. See it as a joyful exchange for a service that enriched your life. With gratitude, bless the money as it leaves your possession. Silently affirm, I bless this energy as it flows out from me. May it bless and prosper everyone it touches, and I know that it returns to me multiplied from expected and unexpected sources. In this way, every act of spending is transformed from a moment of loss into a powerful ritual of abundance. For a truly advanced practice, try giving anonymously. Leave a small bill tucked inside a book at a library, or pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line without them knowing. This detaches your ego from the need for acknowledgement and makes the act a pure, unadulterated signal of trust sent directly to the heart of the universe. The generosity loop, of course, has two sides, giving and receiving. To keep the circuit flowing, you must become as graceful a receiver as you are a giver. Many of us have been conditioned to feel unworthy or uncomfortable when receiving. When someone pays us a compliment, we deflect it. When someone offers us a gift, we feel a sense of obligation or guilt. This is a form of energetic constipation. It is a refusal to complete the exhale of another. To deny another person the joy of their own generosity is to block the sacred flow. The next time someone offers you a gift, a compliment, or a helping hand, your practice is to simply pause, breathe, look them in the eye, and say, with an open and sincere heart, thank you. Feel the gratitude of receiving, and know that in doing so, you are giving a gift right back to them, the gift of allowing their own generosity to be fully expressed and received. When you begin to live consciously within this sacred loop, giving from your fullness and receiving with grace, your entire relationship with life is transformed. You are no longer a separate, isolated entity fighting for your own survival. You are an integral and beloved part of a vast, circulatory system of cosmic abundance. You realize you are not just a participant in the universal economy, you have become a conscious and joyful partner with it. This realization elevates you from the identity of a needy self to that of a trusted steward, a co-creator with the divine intelligence that animates all things. You are a partner with the universe itself. You are now living in the flow. You have learned to give from a place of fullness and receive with a heart of grace. This sacred rhythm of circulation leads you to the most comforting and empowering realization on the entire inner journey. You are not, and you have never been, alone. The ego, in its illusion of separation, fosters a worldview of profound loneliness. It tells you that you are a solitary creature, pitted against a random and indifferent world, and that the entire burden of your survival and success rests solely upon your own small shoulders. This belief is the source of all striving, all anxiety, and all burnout. It is time to dissolve this foundational illusion and awaken to the truth of your existence. You are one half of the most powerful and magnificent creative partnership imaginable. Your partner is the infinite, organizing intelligence of the universe itself. This silent partner is always present, always listening, and always conspiring in your favor. Your work is to learn the nature of this partnership and to finally, fully, step into your role as a conscious co-creator. Every successful partnership is built upon a clear understanding of roles and responsibilities. This divine partnership is no different. It requires a sacred division of labor. Your role is that of the visionary, the captain of the ship. The universe's role is that of the master logistician, the miraculous power that controls the winds and the currents. Your job is to define the what. The universe's job is to handle the how. You must cease, from this moment forward, trying to do your partner's job. Your responsibilities are simple, yet profound. First, you must have clarity of vision. As we have explored, this means getting clear on the feeling state, the desired end result, and impressing it upon the screen of your imagination. You choose the destination. Second, your primary and most important job is to maintain the frequency. You are the tuning fork for the entire operation. You must diligently practice the arts we have. Disgust, gratitude, presence, joy-to. Keep your own vibrational signal locked onto the frequency of your desired reality. Third, you must trust and act upon inspired action. When the intuitive nudge comes, when the spark of an idea arrives, you must act on it swiftly and without hesitation. This is you, the captain, responding to the subtle shifts in the wind that your partner is providing. And finally, you must hold an unwavering attitude of faith and appreciation, trusting that your partner is infinitely wise and competent. Now, consider the role of your silent partner. The universe's job is to manage the infinitely complex orchestration of events required to bring your vision into form. Its toolkit is the entire matrix of existence. It controls every atom, every circumstance, every meeting, every so-called coincidence. Its task is to weave together the threads of your intention with the tapestry of reality, creating the most elegant, efficient, and often magical path to your destination. To sit and worry about how your abundance will arrive is to abandon your post at the helm and run down to the engine room to try and shovel coal. Not only are you terrible at shoveling coal, but you have now left the ship unsteered. Your worry, your need to control the how, only serves to interfere with the master logistician at work. Your faith is what gives your partner the freedom to perform miracles on your behalf. So how does this silent partner communicate with you? How do you know the partnership is active and your vision is in motion? The language of the universe is synchronicity. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, a moment where the inner world of your thoughts and the outer world of events align in a way that is too perfect to be mere chance. These are not random occurrences. They are the universe winking at you. They are progress reports from your partner, confirming message received. The plan is unfolding. You are in alignment. You must train yourself to notice this magical language. It is happening around you all the time. Synchronicity is thinking of an old friend you haven't spoken to in years and having them text you an hour later. It is having a specific, urgent question in your mind and then opening a book to a random page and finding the exact answer laid out before you. It is overhearing a conversation between strangers in a cafe that contains the precise piece of information you were looking for. It is the sudden appearance of repeating num 111 rupees, 444 on clocks and license plates, symbols that your soul recognizes as a nod of encouragement from the field. It is meeting the very person who has the unique skill set or connection you need at just the right time, in the most unlikely of places. When you begin this journey, these events may seem rare. But as you deepen your trust and hold your frequency with more consistency, you will find that your entire life becomes a seamless flow of synchronicity. The world will begin to feel like a magical feedback loop, constantly speaking to you, guiding you, and confirming your creative power. I encourage you to start a synchronicity journal. Every time one of these meaningful coincidences occurs, write it down. This act of acknowledgement trains your mind to notice them more frequently, and it sends a powerful message of appreciation back to your partner. When a synchronicity happens, pause and say, either internally or out loud, "I see you. Thank you." This simple act of gratitude deepens the bond of your partnership. You are letting the universe know that you are paying attention, that you appreciate its elegant and masterful work. A strong partnership, of course, requires unwavering trust, especially when things seem quiet. There will be times on your journey gestation periods where it feels like nothing is happening. You have done your inner work. You are holding your frequency, but the outer world appears unchanged. These are the moments that test your faith. This is your partner asking you, do you trust me even when you cannot see my hands at work? Do you believe in the seed even when the ground is still bare? You must know that this silence is not inaction. It is the quiet, sacred period where the master weaver is gathering the threads, where the seed is germinating in the darkness. The most complex orchestrations are happening behind the scenes, far beyond the reach of your physical senses. Your job during these times is not to panic or to doubt. Your job is to simply hold the faith, to continue tending to your own vibration, to busy yourself with your own joy, knowing with a deep and peaceful certainty that your partner is handling the rest. To dig up the seed with worry is to destroy the coming harvest. The most effective way to be a good partner to the universe is to be ruthlessly committed to your own role. Stay in your lane. Your lane is your inner world. Your job description contains only one item: feel good now. That is the work. From that state of feeling good, from that high frequency of trust and joy, you will naturally be guided to the right actions at the right time. You will find that you do less, yet accomplish more. You will struggle less, yet create more magnificently. You are no longer a lone warrior battling the world. You are a sovereign creator, waltzing through life with an infinitely powerful, intelligent, and benevolent partner who is dedicated completely to your success. This profound knowing that you are guided, supported, and never alone is the ultimate security. It allows you to relax into the arms of life itself, but this precious state of trust, this sacred partnership, is a high frequency that must be protected. The final stage of this journey is to learn how to become the vigilant guardian of your own inner world, to ensure that the static and noise of the old scarcity programming are no longer allowed to interfere with this divine connection. You are now in sacred partnership with the universe, a conscious co-creator of your reality. You understand that your primary role in this partnership is to maintain your own high vibrational frequency, to hold the feeling of your wish fulfilled as a constant inner state. This leads to an unavoidable and liberating conclusion. Your most important work will never be in the outer world. Your most leveraged, most powerful, and most sacred responsibility is the diligent, moment-to-moment cultivation of your own inner world. The old saying, "As within, so without," is the master key to all creation. Your outer world is nothing more than a mirror, a perfect, holographic reflection of your inner state of being. Therefore, to attempt to change your life by manipulating outer circumstances before you have curated your inner world is like trying to change your reflection by yelling at the mirror. It is a futile and exhausting exercise. The real work, the only work, is to turn away from the reflection and focus on the face that is casting it. You must become the vigilant, loving, and uncompromising guardian of your inner garden. For too long, you have left the gates to this sacred garden wide open. You have allowed the frantic winds of the world to blow through it, carrying the seeds of fear, doubt, and comparison. You have allowed passers-by the news media, complaining acquaintances, social media algorithms to wander in and trample your delicate sprouts, planting weeds of their own choosing in your fertile soil. And then you have looked upon the chaotic, weed-choked state of your garden and wondered why your life feels so difficult and barren. The time for such unconsciousness is over. To maintain the high frequency required for effortless creation, you must lovingly and deliberately take charge of your inner environment. This is not an act of fearful protectionism. It is the ultimate act of self-love and creative responsibility. A wise gardener knows their weeds. Let us first identify the primary sources of low-frequency contamination that we so casually allow into our consciousness. The most insidious weeds are the ones that grow from within. Your own habitual patterns of negative thinking, the automatic worry about the future, the endless critique of yourself and others, the familiar comfort of a good complaint. These are deep-rooted weeds, planted by your old programming. Your work as the guardian is to develop a gentle mindfulness, to notice the moment one of these thoughts begins to sprout. You do not get angry at the weed. You do not water it with more attention. You simply, calmly, and without judgment, Acknowledge its presence and gently pull it from the soil. Ah, there is the old story of worry. I see you. I am no longer choosing to energize you. You then consciously plant a flower in its place, a thought of gratitude, an affirmation of your new reality. The next source of contamination comes from the external world, through your information diet. You must understand that what you consume with your mind is just as important as what you consume with your body. The mainstream news cycle, for instance, is a machine engineered to produce fear. Its business model depends on keeping you in a state of agitation, outrage, and powerlessness. To open your garden gates to this torrent of negativity, first thing in the morning is an act of self-sabotage. It is like deliberately seeding your soil with poison ivy and wondering why you feel so itchy and inflamed all day. A wise guardian severely limits their exposure to this, or goes on a news fast entirely, trusting that any truly important information will find its way to them. Social media, likewise, is a field of carefully cultivated weeds. It is a breeding ground for the low frequencies of comparison, envy, and inadequacy. To scroll mindlessly is to allow the chaotic thoughts and curated illusions of thousands of strangers to trample through your pristine inner space. You must become a conscious curator. Unfollow any account that consistently makes you feel less than. Fill your feed with content that is beautiful, inspiring, educational, and uplifting. Become the gatekeeper of what you allow past your eyes and ears. The third and most challenging set of weeds is relational. We must speak of the people in our lives who, consciously or unconsciously, drain our energy. The chronic complainer who sees only problems, the gossip who feeds on the misfortune of others, the cynic who scoffs at your dreams, the drama addict who is constantly in a state of crisis. To spend prolonged time in the presence of these low frequencies is like trying to tend to your delicate orchids next to an open freezer door. Their energetic coldness makes it incredibly difficult for your own blossoms to thrive. Becoming a guardian of your garden means you must learn the art of setting loving, energetic boundaries. This is not about cutting people off with anger or judgment. It is about honoring your own well-being. With some, it may mean lovingly choosing to spend less time in their company. With others, it is about learning to hold your own energetic state while in their presence. You can visualize yourself surrounded by a beautiful, permeable bubble of golden light. This bubble allows your own love and compassion to flow out, but it prevents the dense energy of their negativity from penetrating your field. You can learn to politely redirect conversations that turn to complaint or gossip. You can simply say, "I'd rather talk about something that inspires you right now. Tell me something good that happened this week." This is not an act of aggression. It is an act of changing the energetic weather. To cultivate a truly magnificent garden, you must give special attention to the soil at the beginning and end of each day. The first hour of your morning and the last hour before you sleep are the most fertile times for planting. To roll over and immediately check your phone is to commit horticultural malpractice. It is to throw open the gates to a stampede of external demands, anxieties, and distractions before you have even had a chance to tend to your own space. A sacred morning ritual is non-negotiable for the guardian. Before you engage with the world, you engage with yourself. You meditate, clearing the soil. You practice gratitude, watering the seeds from yesterday. You journal, pulling any weeds that sprouted overnight. You set a clear, high-frequency intention for the day ahead. You fortify your inner sanctuary first. Likewise, in the evening, you do not fall asleep to the chaotic noise of television or social media. You consciously wind down. You review your day, not for its failures, but for its evidence of abundance and synchronicity. You release any negative energy you may have picked up, and you perform your sacred imaginal act, planting the seeds of your desired reality in the rich, receptive soil of your subconscious mind as you drift off to sleep. This guardianship is not a chore. It is the most joyful and rewarding work you can possibly do. It is the art of creating a pristine inner sanctuary, a place of such profound peace, beauty, and power that it becomes your permanent home. When you are rooted in this inner reality, the chaos of the outer world can no longer touch you. Storms may rage in the world of reflections, but within your garden, the sun is always shining, and a profound shift occurs. Your garden becomes so vibrant, so fragrant, so full of life, that its beauty can no longer be contained. Its essence begins to drift over the walls, blessing everyone you encounter. Your protected inner peace becomes your greatest gift to the world. You become a walking sanctuary. People will be drawn to your calm, stable, and loving energy, often without knowing why. You no longer need to be saved from the world because you have become a source of salvation for it. And from this pristine, well-tended inner space, your perception of life's ultimate goal undergoes its final, most profound transformation. You are no longer caught in the desperate cycle of getting and spending, of problem and solution. Your satisfaction comes from the state of your own being, and this allows you to realize the ultimate truth about wealth, that it is not, and never was, a destination to be reached, but a state of being to be inhabited, right here, right now. We have walked a long and winding path together on this inner journey. We have explored the echo chambers of the mind, rewritten the source code of our beliefs, learned to dance with fear, and partnered with the universe itself. Each step has been a process of becoming more aware, becoming more aligned, becoming more trusting, becoming a vibrational match to the abundance you desire. This journey of becoming has been essential. It has been the vessel that has carried you across the stormy seas of your own conditioning. But now we arrive at the final shore, and you must be willing to do the most radical thing of all. You must be willing to step out of the boat. You must be willing to let go of the entire journey of becoming, for the ultimate truth of superabundance is not found in becoming something else. It is found in the sudden, shocking, and profoundly peaceful realization of what you already and always have been. Wealth is not a destination you arrive at. It is a state of being you awaken to. For your entire life, the ego has been engaged in a frantic chase. It has convinced you that happiness, peace, and abundance are destinations located somewhere in the future. They are on the other side of a promotion, a relationship, or a certain number in a bank account. And so you have been running, striving, and becoming, always believing that completion is just around the corner, but the corner never comes. This is the fundamental trap of the egoic mind. It lives in a perpetual state of insufficiency, always seeking the next moment to finally feel whole. But wholeness is never found in the next moment. It can only ever be discovered in this one. The final stage of this journey is to cease all striving. The seeking must come to an end, not because you have failed, but because you are about to succeed so completely that the very notion of seeking becomes obsolete. You have been like a single solitary wave on the surface of a vast ocean. Believing yourself to be small, separate, and fragile, you have been desperately trying to become the ocean. You have looked at the great, calm, powerful expanse on the horizon and made that your goal. You have thrashed and struggled, trying to gather more water, trying to build yourself up, hoping that through enough effort, you might one day achieve the magnificent stillness and power of the ocean. This entire journey has been the process of calming your frantic, wave-like motion. We have calmed the winds of fear and the currents of limiting beliefs. And now, the surface of your awareness is becoming still. And in this stillness, you are able to perceive a truth that was always present, but was obscured by your own motion. You realize you are not a wave trying to reach the ocean. You are the ocean, expressing itself for a moment as a wave. Your very substance, your essence, the very water that constitutes your being is, and always has been, oceanic. Superabundance is not the destination of the ocean over there. It is the simple, earth-shattering recognition of your own oceanic nature right here, right now. I invite you now to have a direct experience of this truth. This is not something to be understood with the mind, but to be felt with the entirety of your being. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and let go of everything you think you know. Let us first arrive fully in the only moment there ever is, the now. Bring your attention to the points of contact your body is making with the surface beneath you. Feel the weight of your own presence. Listen to the subtle sounds in the room around you without labeling them, simply allowing them to be impressions on your awareness. Feel the air touching your skin. With each breath, feel yourself withdrawing your energy from the imaginary worlds of the past and the future, and anchoring it completely in the sensory reality of this present moment. Now, bring your attention inward, move it past the surface of the skin and into the subtle field of energy that animates your body from within. You may feel it as a gentle tingling in your hands and feet, a warmth in your chest, a current of aliveness flowing through you. Do not search for it too hard. It is subtle. This is your direct connection to the formless energy of life itself. This is the water of the ocean. Rest your awareness in this feeling of pure living energy. Now, go one level deeper. Before all the labels the mind has given you, your name, your profession, your history, your financial status, there is a fundamental, silent, and unwavering sense of existence. A simple knowing of being. It is the feeling of I am. It is not I am this or I am that. It is just the silent, peaceful, foundational consciousness of I am. Let your awareness rest here. This is the bedrock of your being. This is the consciousness that was present when you were a child, and it is the same consciousness that is present now. It is timeless. It is formless. It is perfect. As you rest in this simple, profound awareness of I am, ask yourself this question and answer it not with words, but with feeling. In this deep, silent space of pure being, right now, am I lacking anything? In this moment, before the mind creates a story about a bill to be paid or a goal to be achieved, is there any inherent lack? The answer, when truly felt, is always no. In this timeless, formless core of your being, you are already whole. You are already complete. You are already at peace. I want you to recognize this feeling. This deep, quiet, unwavering sense of wholeness and peace is the feeling of wealth you have been chasing your entire life. It was never in the money. It was never in the accomplishment. It has been waiting for you here, in the silent stillness of your own presence, all along. This is your oceanic nature. This is your true home. When you learn to access and abide in this state of being, the entire equation of your life inverts. You no longer seek external things to create an inner feeling of peace and wholeness. Instead, you cultivate an inner state of peace and wholeness, and you watch as the external world rearranges itself to match it. Your actions are no longer born from the frantic energy of lack. They are born from the calm, confident, creative energy of fullness. You speak, and your words carry the weight of this inner peace. You create, and your creations are imbued with this sense of wholeness. You interact with others, and you do so not as a needy fragment, but as an overflowing fountain. The things you once desperately chased, the money, the opportunities, the recognition, now begin to flow to you, not as a goal you have achieved, but as a natural, effortless byproduct of the state you inhabit. They are the inevitable reflection in the mirror of the beautiful, wealthy face you have finally recognized as your own. The desperate seeking stops, the graceful allowing begins. And so, you see, the journey from scarcity to superabundance was never about becoming rich. It was always about realizing you already are. The entire path was designed to help you shed the layers of illusion that prevented you from seeing the infinite treasure that is your own consciousness. When you live from this place, when you anchor your identity in the timeless state of I am, rather than the temporary conditions of your life, you have found the kingdom of heaven within. You have found the pearl of great price. You have found the end of the search. And a being who has found the infinite source of living water within does not hoard it. A fountain that has discovered it is connected to a boundless subterranean ocean, does not worry about running dry. Its very nature, its greatest joy, is to overflow, to pour itself out, to bless and nourish everything around it. Your journey is not over. In truth, it has just begun. For now, you are ready to become a conscious source of abundance for the world. You have arrived at the still center of your own being. You have discovered the infinite wellspring of peace, completeness, and wholeness that is your true nature. You have come home. This journey, which began as a quest to fill your own sense of lack, has led you to a state of profound and unshakable inner fullness. And here, at this new beginning, you will discover the ultimate purpose of your own abundance. The goal was never simply to have a full cup. A cup that is merely full is a static, finite, and ultimately useless thing. Its potential is capped. The true purpose of your spiritual and material journey is to become a cup that is so full, so endlessly supplied from an infinite source, that it cannot help but overflow, blessing and nourishing the world around it. You are now ready to graduate from being a student of abundance to becoming a source of it. This shift is not a new task you must add to your list. It is not a moral duty or a heavy obligation. It is the natural, effortless, and joyous expression of the state you now inhabit. A sun does not try to shine, it is its nature. A spring does not decide to give forth water, it simply flows. In the same way, a being who is consciously connected to the infinite source does not try to be generous. Their generosity of spirit, of wisdom, of resources becomes an automatic and delightful expression of their own inner reality. The great work of filling your own cup is now complete. The new, joyous work is to delight in the feeling of the overflow. You will find that your greatest fulfillment no longer comes from what you can acquire, but from what can flow through you. What does this overflow look like? How does it manifest in your life? It takes on many forms, far beyond the mere distribution of money. First, you begin to overflow with the gift of presence. Because you have cultivated an inner garden of profound peace, you possess an abundance of serenity. You can now offer this peace to others. When you are in conversation with someone who is lost in anxiety or turmoil, you do not get pulled into their storm. Instead, your own calm, centered presence becomes a silent, powerful anchor for them. You listen with a stillness that allows them to hear themselves. Your non-reactive equanimity creates a safe space for them to find their own center. You become a walking sanctuary, and your presence itself is a form of profound, energetic philanthropy. You will also begin to overflow with the gift of wisdom. You have walked the arduous path from the depths of scarcity to the sunlit highlands of abundance. You know the terrain. You know where the pitfalls are. You know the language of the dragons of fear, and you know the steps of the dance. You can now serve as a lighthouse for other ships that are still lost in the fog. This is not about becoming a preacher or a dogmatic teacher. It is about sharing your own experience with quiet authenticity when you are asked. It is about embodying the truth so fully that your very life becomes the lesson. You are able to offer a word of encouragement, a shift in perspective, or a knowing silence that tells another, "I have been where you are, and I promise you, there is a way through." Next, you will find you overflow with the gift of creativity. Your open channel to the universal intelligence is not just for receiving abundance, it is for transmitting inspiration. Ideas, solutions, and creative impulses will flow to you with increasing frequency. You are now called to be a good steward of this creative energy. You can use it to build a conscious business that solves a real problem and uplifts its employees and customers. You can use it to create art, music, or writing that inspires and heals the human spirit. You can use it to find innovative solutions to challenges in your community. Your work ceases to be a way to make a living and becomes a joyful expression of the divine creativity that is flowing through you. Your purpose is no longer to find a job, but to express your gift. And yes, you will also overflow with the gift of resources, including money. As you have healed your relationship with this energy and see it as a neutral tool, you become the most trustworthy and effective channel for it. The universe, seeing you as a responsible fund manager, will entrust you with more and more of it to direct. And you will direct it with wisdom and joy. You will use it to support the people and causes you believe in. You will use it to amplify beauty and innovation in the world. You will use it to provide opportunities for others. You will discover the profound joy of being a philanthropist of the spirit, where money is simply one of the many tools you use to express the love and abundance that is pouring through you. You will give freely, joyfully, and intelligently, not because you should, but because the feeling of facilitating this flow is one of the greatest joys you can experience. To find your own unique channel of overflow, you can ask yourself two powerful questions. First, what in the world breaks my heart? The answer to this points you towards the suffering you are uniquely encoded to soothe. Second, what makes me come alive with joy? The answer to this points you towards the unique gifts and passions you are meant to use. Where your greatest joy meets the world's deep need, that is the location of your sacred purpose. For one person, it may be mentoring a single child. For another, it may be creating a beautiful public garden. For another, it may be building a global enterprise that changes an industry. The scale is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the alignment of the action with the joyful, overflowing state of your own being. When you fully step into this role as a source, you discover the final, magical secret of the generosity loop. The act of giving from your overflow is what solidifies and exponentially expands your own state of abundance. As you comfort another, you realize how unshakably comforted you are. As you teach another, you integrate the wisdom on a deeper level yourself. As you generously direct your financial resources, you feel your own infinite supply more profoundly. By becoming a fountain, you are constantly reminded that you are connected to an infinite source. You sought abundance for yourself, and you found it by going within. Now, you give that abundance away freely, and in doing so, you become the living embodiment of it. The last vestiges of the separate self, the self that needs to get and to hold, dissolve in the joy of the flow. You have walked the path from being a victim of your reality to being a partner with it. And now you have become a source of its endless blessings. There is only one final veil to be lifted, one final realization to embrace, that will unify the source with the flow and reveal the ultimate truth of who you are. We have journeyed from the cramped echo chamber of lack to the boundless expanse of the overflowing cup. We have walked a path of profound transformation, a path designed to dissolve the illusions of separation that have kept you feeling small and insufficient. We began by dissolving the separation between your inner world and your outer world, realizing that one is but a reflection of the other. We then dissolved the separation between you and your thoughts, recognizing yourself as the silent, spacious awareness in which they arise and fall. We dissolved the separation between you and your desires, learning to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. We dissolved the separation between you and others, discovering the sacred circulatory loop of generosity. We have even dissolved the separation between you and the universe, graduating from a solitary striver to a divine co-creator. Each step has brought you closer to home, closer to the truth. And now we stand before the final veil, the last and most subtle illusion of all, the very idea that there is a you and a universe to be partnered with in the first place. This, too, must now dissolve into a greater light. The language of being a channel for abundance or a partner with the universe has been a useful scaffold. It has allowed you to build a new and more empowered relationship with life. But all scaffolds are temporary, designed to be dismantled once the true structure is complete. A channel implies a separation between the conduit and the substance that flows through it. A partnership implies two separate entities working together. The final awakening, the ultimate realization of superabundance, occurs when the channel recognizes it is made of the very substance it is channeling. The partner realizes it is one and the same with its creator. The distinction between you and the universe collapses. The search is over, not because you have found what you were looking for, but because you have realized you are what you were looking for. To grasp this, consider the nature of a dream. At night, you fall asleep and enter a world that appears completely real. In this dream, you have an identity. You are a character. You walk through landscapes. You interact with other people. You experience events. You might find yourself in the dream chasing after a great treasure, feeling a desperate sense of lack until you find it. You might be running from a terrifying monster, feeling a profound sense of fear and separation. But what happens the moment you awaken? You realize a staggering, paradigm-shattering truth. You were not just the dream character. You were everything in the dream. You were the treasure you were chasing. You were the monster you were fleeing. You were the other people you spoke with, and the very ground you walked upon. The entire dream, in all its complexity and apparent separation, was a projection of your one, single consciousness. It was all you. This life is the great waking dream. You have been experiencing yourself as a separate character, a me, seeking a thing called abundance or wealth that seems to be out there. The final awakening is the realization that you are not the dream character. You are the dreamer. The entire world, with all its people, its challenges, and its treasures, is a magnificent and intricate projection of your own divine consciousness. The abundance you have been seeking is not a separate substance you need to attract. It is made of the very same fabric as you, pure, unconditioned awareness. The seeker and the sought are, and always have been, one and the same. Let us return one last time to the metaphor of the ocean and the wave. The entire journey has led the frantic, separate wave to a state of stillness. And in this stillness, the wave does not just see the ocean. It does not just feel a connection to the ocean. It awakens to the fact that its very essence, its wetness, its waterness is the ocean. It realizes that it was never truly a wave. It was always the ocean temporarily expressing itself in the form of a wave. In the same way, you are not a human being seeking to connect with a divine universe. You are the divine universe experiencing itself through the beautiful, temporary, and precious perspective of a human being. Therefore, the very idea of attracting wealth becomes absurd. How can the ocean attract more water? How can you, the dreamer, attract a piece of your own dream? You cannot attract what you already are. You can only awaken to your own nature, and then, from that place of ultimate truth, choose which aspects of your own infinite being you wish to experience. Let us feel this truth now, beyond the limitations of words. Close your eyes one last time on this journey. Settle into the stillness. Bring your awareness again to the feeling of aliveness that pervades your entire body, that subtle, tingling energy field. Now, with your eyes closed, expand your awareness beyond the perceived boundaries of your skin. Feel the aliveness in the air in the room around you. Sense the vibration in the sounds that reach your ears. Feel the energy of the light that exists even behind your closed eyelids. And now, notice this simple, profound truth. The aliveness that you feel inside your body and the aliveness that you perceive outside your body are not two different energies. They are one. They are part of a single, seamless, vibrating field of conscious energy that fills all of space. The boundary of your skin is not a barrier that separates you from life. It is simply a location within life. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. You are not a container of consciousness. You are consciousness itself. Rest in this feeling of boundless, unified awareness. In this state, where is the you that needs to get something? Where is the universe that needs to give it? Both have dissolved into the simple, majestic, singular reality of I am. In this oneness, all questions of lack and abundance are rendered meaningless. There is only being, and in that being, all things are contained. To live from this realization is to live in a state of ultimate freedom and power. Fear vanishes, for how can you be afraid when there is nothing separate from you to threaten you? Competition dissolves, for how can you compete against another when their success is simply a different expression of your own singular success? Desperate seeking ceases entirely, replaced by joyful creation. From this unified state, you, as the universe, simply decide what you wish to experience. Let me experience love. And so you dream up a reality that includes the beautiful dance of relationship. Let me experience creativity. And so you manifest a project that allows that energy to flow. Let me experience wealth. And so you project a reality of material abundance, not as something you need, but as a fascinating and delightful game to play, a texture to experience. Life transforms from a struggle for survival into a magnificent work of art, and you are both the artist and the canvas, the dancer and the dance. The journey from scarcity to superabundance is now complete. It has led you home, to the core of your own being. You are not the seeker of abundance. You are not the channel of abundance. You are not the source of abundance. You are the substance of it. You are life itself, playing the magnificent game of experiencing its own infinite, inexhaustible, and ever-present wealth. This is not the end. It is the true beginning. And so, we rest here, in the quiet stillness at the end of all seeking. Take a deep, gentle breath, and allow these truths to settle, not as concepts in your mind, but as a felt reality in the very cells of your body. The journey from scarcity to superabundance was never about transforming your circumstances. It was always about transforming your perception. It was never about turning the lead of your life into gold. It was about realizing the lead was an illusion and you were golden all along. We began this journey believing we had to fix a flawed reflection in a mirror, frantically trying to paint a smile on a face of lack. And we have come to the profound peace of understanding that all we ever had to do was wipe the dust from the mirror. And in its clean, clear surface, we see what was always there, the face of infinite abundance looking back at us, the face of our own true self. Our journey has been one of a simple, sacred gesture. We began with a clenched fist, the posture of fear, believing we had to grasp and hoard and protect our tiny portion of a finite world. Through our work together, we learned to gently unfurl those fingers, to cultivate the open hand of trust, the posture of allowing, ready to receive the gifts of a generous universe. But the final revelation has brought us beyond even that. We realize now that we are not the hand at all. We are the infinite, overflowing spring from which the living water flows, a spring that could fill 1 billion open hands and never run dry. Let the striving cease. Let the frantic energy of becoming dissolve into the calm, majestic power of being. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to acquire, nothing you need to prove in order to be whole. You were born whole. Your very essence is the substance of all creation. Your consciousness is the fabric of all wealth. Carry this knowing with you, not as a thought, but as a feeling, as the very ground beneath your feet. And when the old world with its noisy echoes of lack tries to capture your attention, you can return to the simple, unshakable truth of your being with this one final mantra. Let it be the new rhythm of your heart. I am not the seeker of abundance. I am the source from which abundance flows. I am not the chaser of wealth. I am the awareness in which all wealth appears. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to learn, nothing left to become. Simply be, and know that in your being, all is well.